All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network for the first Sunday in November 2013. We are days away from the election. St. Paul, the voice of reason.
That's right. K-Dog, the loose cannon.
And we'll be joined here shortly to kick off the show with Travis Couture. He's running for the 35th District State Senate seat.
Yeah, make sure you get that one right.
Yeah, I put a post on the page and I typoed 25th instead of 35th. Someone was nice enough to correct me, so thank you for that. And
that was cool of him to do that.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I typoed it until later. But
yeah, and it was cool. And you know what? Listen,
the 3 and the 2 on the keyboard are right next to each other. It was an honest mistake.
It's funny how that works. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is that as individuals, we grow up learning, to type, right? And supposedly you're a better typer if you don't have to look.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I totally have to look. I have to look down, write out a word, look up, make sure I spelled it correctly. Okay, go back down, look. No way, can't do it. Now, I can be a tank commander in an M1 Abrams tank and not look where my hands go, make sure everything hits the right switch and everything's dialed in correctly. But darn it, when it comes to a keyboard, forget about it, man. Oh, no, can't happen. Not a chance in heck, dude.
Yeah, it's I've gotten pretty good about my ability to type without looking, but some days like today, it's just not a great idea for me to do that.
So, how was your week, bud?
It was. I've been sick most of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100%. I had a great experience. We'll talk about later if we have time today. If not, we'll talk about it some other time, I'm sure. But otherwise, it was interesting. It was a weird week for news with the shooting situation at LAX, and the news you heard at the top of the hour with Snowden, basically asking to come home again.
I don't like Russia. They don't treat me very well.
Yeah, this is not all it's cracked up to be. Someone didn't really think his plan through. Coming up in a few minutes, literally in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to be joined by Travis Couture. Now, Travis is running for state senate in the beautiful state of Washington out of District 35. That is essentially Belfair, Mason County. It goes all the way down past Shelton. And then in one of the really weird layouts of a district, it kind of wraps around Olympia. It doesn't go through Olympia, but it goes around the west side of Olympia and the west side of Chehalis, and then it comes back over to I-5, and it covers a piece south of Chehalis, I believe. I mean, it's at south of Tumwater at least, but it's just a really weird layout for a district. I don't know who gets drunk on and high on crack when they lay these things out, but Travis Couture, running as a Republican, is going to join us here in about 10 minutes. I believe I'm trying to double check who he's going up against. I think I know, but I'm trying to double check, and I'm actually looking at a ballot, and I can't find it on their ballot.
Just pull up his webpage.
I did pull up his webpage. It doesn't say it on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and this is, don't get us wrong, this is kind of
I looked for it all day today,
minute.
too. I looked for it all day today, too, in between praying the Seahawks won, and I couldn't find it on there either. So I'll keep doing some research. We'll have it. Otherwise, we'll just ask him point blank.
So, well, yeah, definitely. So listen, and also coming up then at 8 o'clock, an interview that I, in particular, I'm completely just stoked about. Scott Walters will be on the show with us tonight. He is the host of the History Channel's Unearthed. What are you doing with your nose there, darling? Look at Des over there. She was like eating when I said that, and I think she just snorted food back into her face. What is with you're pointing at your head now? You guys should see this. This is completely hysterical. I brought this up, and I think Des is actually having a seizure over there. Are you okay, dear? She's like, and holding her mouth. Anyway, so he will be on the show. And anyway, this guy, he wrote the book, The Hooked X, The Knights Templar in America, and a bunch of other stuff. So we got great questions from all over the map to ask him tonight. I've got some of my own. I know, and I am so proud of my co-host, Kevin, who went out of his way on Saturday to call me while I'm out of power, stinking, smelling, trying to figure out what I'm going to throw away and keep in my refrigerator. And he's like, tell me you're proud of me. tell me you're proud of me. I'm like, this is a setup question. I'm like, Kevin, seriously, I got no power. I had a tree come down in my yard. I'm cutting up the tree. I'm trying to figure out what am I going to keep, what am I not going to keep. My animals are going crazy. I can't get my truck out of the yard to go get hay for the horses, and they're pissed off at me. And then like, okay, Kevin, I'm just knowing that he's setting me up. I'm like, okay, Kevin, what am I proud of you for? Oh no, I said, okay, I'm proud of you. Now what am I proud of you for? And you said what?
I was actually I was watching America Unearthed, the show hosted by our guest who's coming on at 9:00 or at 8:00, and watched a couple episodes of his show, which I hadn't seen before. I know you're a big fan of it. I wanted to watch it, get a feel for it. I like the show. I don't get to watch as much History Channel as I would like to, just because of my schedule. But I got to watch some of the show. I got some really good questions for him. I'm more the cynic in this whole discussion, so I get to ask a little more of the cynical questions of our guest. And
well, what did you think of you got a chance to watch a couple episodes of the show. What did you think? And mind you, his show is not about, I don't like calling it alternative history because I don't think that's what it is. I think it's unknown history or because it's he is one of those individuals that has used his skills as a geologist to go out and rewrite some of what we thought we knew. And kind of put a new spin on it, if you will, by basically saying, hey, listen, this couldn't have been done by these people. This is too old. You may have seen his 2-hour show on the Hook Decks on the Kensington Runestone that was on the History Channel. I think that kind of kick-started his television career. But we can ask him about that. Again, just a phenomenally interesting individual to talk to, and we're going to have some fun with it. I've listened to a lot of his interviews he's done on other shows, and a lot of it's really serious. And and of course our questions are going to be serious. But you guys know us; we like to have a little bit more fun. We're gonna press him to please not be so politically correct, because I think clearly on his shows he tries to really toe a neutral road. But you can just tell he's got his own theories, and he really wants to say them. I get that impression from him. But he's like, no, this is a History Channel show. I have to stick to the facts here. But I want to know. I'm going to ask him what he really thinks. And I don't know if you saw the episode or not on the there is a bay in Rhode Island. I think it's called Knesset Bay or Tenasket Bay or something like that. Anyway, there is a stone that was there that had the hooked X on it, and he believed that it was a guide stone put there by the Templars. It was about 60 feet from shore, and it was stolen this last year. And on one of his episodes is when he gets the phone call and he decides to go to Rhode Island to investigate, to kind of figure out what the heck happened to this stone. And sure enough, somebody drug the stone right off the 60 feet from shore, just picked it up and took it, left, gone. Poof.
Really?
Yeah. So, and we're going to ask him, hey, any new information on that? Have you found out what's happened to that stone? All kinds of interesting stuff. So, and he's a big theory guy on the Knights Templar, the Holy Grail, what it is, and a lot of the stuff that goes along with that, the persecution of the Knights Templar, and et cetera, et cetera. So you guys can all tell, because you've listened to the show, you know me, and you know my association and my affiliation with the Port of the Knights of Christ and the Temple of Solomon. So for me, it's great to be able to interview somebody who is completely gone himself down that same road and educated himself. And as I always say, the truth is there for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. Maybe this for you in the listening audience. Maybe this will be like that for you. So,
and one of the things is I sense there's going to be a lot of questions about Templars and Templar Knights, because a lot of his shows have focused on that and their potential existence or emergence in the Americas. And so I think
it's because that's what kickstarted, I think, his career in this. I mean, as a forensic, maybe that's not right, and we'll have to clarify this with him. I think he's a geologist. I think it's forensic. I'm not sure. But he does a lot of dating. So when the Kensington Runestone was found, he was asked to authenticate it or basically show that it was a hoax. And when he does his work, unlike normal people that are in the scholarly world, if you will, the academics, if you will, they're about, hey, this is the story, this is history, this is the timeline that we have. If it falls outside of this timeline, well, then it's bunk, it's bogus, it's not true. Well, he's a black and white guy. He's like, no, that's not what science tells us about this. Science tells us the Kensington Runestone was very much real, and if it's very much real, and there were a bunch of Knights Templar that were in Minnesota in the 1400s, then there were Knights Templar in Native Americans didn't write something like this. They didn't know who the Knights Templar were.
Yep.
So, that's his point. And he said, that, we got to go to where the evidence takes us, not where we want the evidence to take us. And that's what I find so amazing about him. So I appreciate it greatly. So
yeah, and so we'll have him on at 8 o'clock. It's sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. I'm just going to leave this open ended because I never trust when guests tell us they're going to stop by and attempt to surprise us. So I will just say we're supposed to have some surprise guests in the 9 o'clock hour.
This should be fun.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know, Desi, I haven't told you because it's supposed to be a surprise. So just put it on our social media. We're supposed to be surprised by some guests in the 9 o'clock hour.
Of course, if they told you ahead of time, not really much of a surprise.
Well, they had to let me know, I suppose.
Okay. That's fair.
Well,
okay.
It's good to let us know. With as busy as we've been lately, with all the guests we booked and everything that we've had going on, it's good to let one of us know. But maybe tag our social media sites, let people know we'll have some surprise guests at 9 o'clock. 9:30, we'll get into our football picks. We'll talk about a heart attack of a game today with the Hawks and the Bucks. I will eat crow on that because I thought it'd be a blowout by the end of the second quarter.
Everybody thought it was going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
But Seattle did, for the first time in their franchise history, return from more than a 20-point deficit to win a game. Yay, Hawks. Go us.
Well, yeah, there you go. It would have been nice if we were playing a real NFL team. But, it's good. We just can't play like that when we play, when we play a good team like the
Anybody
Saints.
else?
Well, we kind of halfway played against the Rams and were able to win that, and you just can't do that.
Well, Seattle had some key turnovers today. It is what it is. These guys are all pros, man. Every one of them. So,
well, thank you for that, Howard Cosell. All right, joining us on the line. Let's go straight to the phones. We're joined by our first guest of the evening. He is running for legislative district number 35 in the great state of Washington. His name is Travis Couture, and Travis joined us live somewhere. I assume, Travis, you're camped out in Mason County tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm up here in Belfair in North Mason County. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. How is the campaign going, my friend?
Hey, it's going well. I took a little time off today. Had to watch the Hawks game. I think I might need some heart medication.
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt.
We watched the first half of Sunday Night Football, and here I am spending the rest of it with you guys.
Right, and we appreciate it, and we're thrilled to have you on. You've got an election coming up this Tuesday. How are you feeling about it?
No. It's for 2014. 2014.
Okay, you're going to run. That makes a little bit more sense. A year
out.
Huh?
A year out.
Okay, a year out. That makes me actually feel better. Okay, because I was like, dude, we're getting you on kind of late for this year, man.
No, he's.
And I was about to seriously apologize.
We're running a serious campaign, so we've been hitting it hard for a while now, and we really just want to kind of hit the ground running with this entire thing, and that's why we started so early. We're already fundraising and everything like that, getting out there to everything. All the community events, and had a pretty busy Halloween. We did a lot of things up in Union. They had the annual Pumpkin Fest up there that I was heavily involved in.
Can I just point out for all of our listeners here that unlike some of our friends in the Democratic Party, Belfair is not a third world country. I just want to point that out. Because
we had to give Travis some background. We interviewed a member of the state Democratic Party about 2.5 years ago. At which point she informed us that Belfair was like a third world nation. That's her quote. Oh, it was. Is a third world.
Yeah. She said if you've been to Belfair, it's a third world country there.
Yeah, that's what they said.
That's sad.
Yeah, listen. So you're going up. Now, just to be clear, because I was doing some research and I want to make sure I'm reading this right. So you're going for the seat that's currently held by Mr. Sheldon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so talk about that. Now I know that you ran previously for the Mason County commissioner seat, and you had a really good run in that one that was unsuccessful. But I think it really allowed you to get your feet wet and really get your teeth into some electoral stuff. What did you learn out of that you believe really is going to help you in this run going against a guy who's pretty well established? Especially in Democratic circles within that district.
Well, yeah, I did run for county commissioner in 2012, and that was my first ever time being on the ballot, running my own race, and so So you definitely learn a lot. It's really fast paced and really high adrenaline and everything like that. A lot of it is just politics. It's learning kind of how to campaign, and that's the part people really don't like. But I mean, that's what has to happen. And just getting out there and talking to people, and a lot of people kind of sometimes you'll see, especially in some of the smaller districts or counties, people will run as more of a protest vote, and that's not why I run for office. I run to win, and it's not just about putting my name on the ballot. I go in, I think in 2012, between my race and a friend's race, we doorbelled over 50,000 doors and made, tens of thousands of phone calls and, signs, the whole 9 yards. And it is tough for a first-time candidate to, get established. I think that's the tough part, but you got to keep with it and don't get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged. But the more you just keep with it, you can kind of build your own kind of, it's kind of weird to say it, but it's like building a brand, so you kind of build a brand and you get out there and the more you go out, the more chances you have people to listen to you and kind of spread the message. That's what I tell my supporters. And it's not just my campaign. It's our campaign. It's the people's campaign. We talk about issues and we have a direct message that we're trying to send that I think is really populist. So I think that's why I was even as popular as I was. I got started really late in 2012. So we ended up losing by around 100 votes or something to Randy Netherland, who's actually not a bad guy, but he's been running for office for quite a while. And I was actually obviously everyone wants to win, but I was pretty happy with the outcome. And I think you're exactly right. That allowed me the next stepping stool to the next kind of platform.
Well, and then you were very active in Dan Griffey's campaigns as well. Dan has been a good friend of the show and been on with us several times. But you had a lot of experience kind of assisting in Dan Griffey's campaigns as well.
Right. When I first got out of the Navy, I was sick and tired of what this country was, just seemed like we were spiraling down the drain. And it still kind of seems like that right now. But, I wasn't going to sit on the sidelines anymore. And I actually, teamed up with Dan Griffey and I learned, I knew a lot of the politics, but he taught me a lot about the state politics and just the campaign kind of stuff. And so I like to think we learned a lot from each other, and we've both grown a lot since then.
I can totally imagine that. Now, is Dan helping you on your campaign now?
Oh yeah, he's a good friend, and he's always there to help me out however I need it. So really, it's more of a kind of a behind the scenes, help me out with certain things. It's not really he's not standing on a street corner yet with my sign up, but we'll get him there when the time comes.
Darn straight.
Now, again, you're already getting a lot of press on the internet. I've noticed. I did some searches throughout the day today to get some more background information, and I already noticed that a lot of the conservative sites are already picking up your candidacy and really running with it, which tells me you've got a really good groundswell of support at a grassroots level. Talk about how important that is to you, because especially when you're running against an incumbent whose name has got some good recognition in your district, this grassroots support is really going to be important for you to really make some headway in your district.
Yeah, the grassroots is the most important part of any campaign, and it doesn't matter if you're running for office or you're doing an initiative or whatever it may be. The grassroots is, we want to be the ones that planted that grass. We want to be I am the grassroots. I've been there before, so I know what it's like, and I really respect people, and I spent a lot of time in the community, which is, some politicians don't do that. They just raise a lot of money from out-of-state donors or whatever they may do, kind of like what you're seeing here in this Jan Angel race, where her opponent has got a billionaire backer trying to buy off the 26th over here. That's not the way I operate. I talk to real people, and I'm not afraid to talk to you if you're homeless or if you're rich. It doesn't matter to me. People are people, and I really come. You hear a lot of low information voters and stuff like that. I really come from the kind of the school of thought that voters are not stupid. A lot of people think, voters are just dumb. I don't think they're stupid at all. I think they know how to make choices for themselves for the most part. they're just not as well informed. And I think a lot of that comes from the media, and that's why it's, good that we have alternative radio on the internet and things like that. But the grassroots is definitely so important to my campaign. It's every dollar I've raised is from is a small individual contribution. I have no lobbyists and no corporations jumped on board my campaign yet to donate a lot of money. And I had actually I turned down a pharmaceutical company because they wanted me to sign a pledge to vote their way, and I refused to do that. So that kind of hurts the campaign a little bit, but it makes me feel good about it in the end. And that's what people really respect. That's what they want to see out of their politicians. And I kind of just apply that to what I would want to see. And I think that's what's really working out well. And there's the message is powerful. That's the other part. The message that we're spreading, a more liberty-minded message is what's really powerful. It's what's resonating with people. I'm more of a libertarian Republican. I'm kind of conservative libertarian, and that libertarian aspect of our message is really resonates with Democrats as well. So you get a more populist support base that way.
Well, it absolutely seems to resonate. The libertarian philosophies, both on a local and a national level. Would you agree?
Oh, yes. I mean, I worked with, I spent a lot of time in 2013 regular session this year, kind of promote legislation, and I spent a ton of time in Olympia working with different legislators, both Democrats and Republicans, working on certain things. And I worked really closely with what we call the Freedom Agenda, which is a group a growing group of legislators in Olympia that are working on a bipartisan basis to protect civil liberties and have sustainable budgets and things like that. And we had the most successful slate of bills ever by any Republican so far in the state. And it's because, the freedom issue, it transcends party lines. It's something that you can sit next to. I could sit next to the most socialist Democrats sometimes, and they might agree with me on a civil liberties issue because it's just a freedom issue. So, for instance, we worked on, I'll bring up two real quick. We worked on a bill to regulate drone use in Washington State, spy drones, and all it really said is that we're going to require the government and the police forces here to have a warrant before they use a drone and fly it over your house with its X-ray vision and whatever it has. And the drone lobby put up a pretty good fight, and it was amazing. I got to point this out, but it was amazing. The lobbyist actually was on record saying that we switched and he quote, this is a quote from him, we've switched our policy from indiscriminate killing to discriminate killing. And it's like, this is a domestic drone. What are you talking about? And it's kind of alarming how people defend this almost empirical kind of state kind of thing going on. But, we worked on that, and that was very bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans both flew it through committee, and we also a bill to legalize industrial hemp. And for the listeners, hemp is not exactly like marijuana. I mean, you can't get high off of it. If you wanted to get high off of it, you have to smoke something the size of a phone pole, and you die from lung asphyxiation before you ever got anything out of it. But it has so many industrial uses, and it's little things like this that, it's not the big grand slam or anything like that, but it's little things we could do right now to kind of work together to, try not to act like Washington, D.C. for a little bit. But, those flew through, and it's sad, some of them got turned down when it came to votes on the floor because it's always the leadership, too. And the corruption is absolutely astronomical in Olympia. That's something we have to stop right away. And it's like you kind of, when you play basketball, you have to learn how to dribble before you can shoot the three-pointer. Mm-hmm. And if you can't have politicians that can't act in an ethical way, then how could you expect them to enact ethical legislation?
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so, that's kind of where I come from. And right now, my campaign, we focus on issues and things like that, but one of the prime issues and what really my opponent has a hard time with is all we talk about is corruption and ethics and stuff like that, which everyone obviously wants, but, my opponent's been on the wrong side of the stick for a long time now.
Let me ask you a question. I've been reading over some of your stuff on ThurstonCountyLiberty.com. There's a very extensive write up about you and your stand on some of the really key issues that I think are facing voters everywhere, especially in your district. And I want to touch on some of the things mentioned in this article and give you a chance to kind of explain it a little bit further. The first thing, I want to give a quote from this, and I'm not sure if this is from you or if this is them summarizing what they got from you, so clear that up for me when I read it. It's toward the end of the section where they talk about your stand on taxes, and it says, overtaxation is an unnecessary austerity measure. Government spending needs to be drastically lowered. Putting more tax dollars back into the taxpayers' hands is the best way to cultivate a free market economy. Travis does not support an income tax or any other new tax scheme. He also supports creating a constitutional amendment that requires a 2/3 majority to raise taxes. First of all, is that something that was a quote directly from you, or is that something that the writers of this website gleaned from you and put together for you, or about you?
I definitely believe those things.
Okay.
The voters, especially the 2/3 majority, I mean, the voters have passed that, 5 times now? And it keeps getting overturned, and finally they said, hey, it's unconstitutional, so we said, hey, let's do a constitutional amendment. So that's not, I mean, I'm definitely anti-tax. We're taxed enough already. I mean, right now, just this last budget session, they all slapped themselves on the back pretty hard and promoted a budget that, quote, didn't raise taxes. Well, it couldn't be anything further from the truth. We raised almost $1 billion in taxes. I think it was like $880 million in tax increases. And if you go look on your ballot and you see all the little advisory votes, those are all the tax increases. And that's not even counting what we took in when we expanded Medicaid and accepted Obamacare. That's going to be an astronomical tax on the entire American people. But that trickles down to all of us. So definitely, and another thing, we have more money in Washington State now, more revenue than we ever had in our history. I mean, this is really getting really out of control, and what they're pushing right now is a new gas tax increase. And it's baffling. I mean, when is enough enough? And so, yeah, I definitely agree with all that. I don't support any new tax increases or schemes. A lot of times they'll say they cut something, or they say that they lowered a tax or raised a tax or whatever. A lot of the times it's just a big accounting scheme. They just shift money from this budget to that budget, or from this place to that place within the budget, and it makes it look different, but it's still there, So, it's just a big kind of, and that's what I mean by the budget gimmicks. That's what we get every year, is gimmick after gimmick, and then what follows after that is special session after special session. And we got to stop doing that kind of stuff. And what I tell people when I meet them for the first time is that we can't keep electing the same politicians year after year and expect them to pull us out of the messes that they helped to create. And because really, they think kind of inside this box, and they're not willing to ever travel outside the box to come up with unique solutions to anything. And that's really the big problem here. So as far as the article goes, I don't think I've ever read that, but that sounds exactly right on. I don't know if someone quoted me or what exactly that is. I'd have to check it out. That sounds exactly like what I would say.
let me give you a counter question though, and again, in all honesty, Paul is the more conservative. I'm the more liberal. But let me. Yeah. Well, I'm being fair here. Here's my question, and this is the one thing that has really chapped my hide about Patty Murray, is that when she sold herself to voters in the state of Washington, she said, vote outside the box. Vote for somebody that isn't tied to special interests. Vote for somebody that isn't a career politician. Vote for somebody that isn't sucked into all these Washington, D.C. games. And that's what the voters in the state of Washington did when they sent her to D.C. And I, as a guy on the left, okay, I'm the lib at this table. I look at Patty Murray now with her frosted hair and her high-ranking positions, and I see somebody who skated in under the soccer mom mentality to get herself a cushy inside position, and now she is one of the insiders. So when you tell voters, Travis, fair question, you tell voters, think outside the box. Let's get somebody in there who's not one of the insiders. Tell us why we're going to believe, and I'm not saying not to believe, but tell us why we should believe that you're not a conservative version of Patty Murray that would get in there and then become one of the insiders. What makes you different? How are you going to stand out in that role?
Well, yeah, I hear that a lot, and just people are really disenfranchised, and so it's not really an awkward question at all. And basically, there's no silver bullet solution to get the right people in office. It's like a mixture. It takes a little bit of one part leap of faith and one part you got to see what you got when you elected the person. I mean, you try to get to know the person you're about to vote for as much as you possibly can, and some people more than others. See where they stand on the issues, see what kind of person they are, what kind of character they have. And, sometimes you could vote for someone that seems like the best character, and they could turn around and do what Patty Murray has done and just feel like, wow, how can I ever trust somebody again? And I mean, that's kind of, there's no real solution because you can't really dive into what someone's going to do in the future, and you can't really dive into what's in someone's mind. But you got to make your best effort to find out who these people are and try to make your best conscious decision to vote for a candidate and kind of see where it leads you, and just because you voted for somebody or just because you supported somebody in the past doesn't always mean you should just jump on that bandwagon every single year. I mean, you got to continually vet your elected officials and your candidates every single time their name is on the ballot, and to make sure they still stand up for the same things. And you got to be able to kind of sift through all the mud and kind of the garbage and the half-baked lies that they could come up with sometimes to make themselves sound better than they really are. And so really, Kevin, if I were to just sit here and tell you that, oh, I'm so much more different than these guys and I'm going to stop the tides from rising, I think your favorite candidate from 2008 even made that promise. But,
Showing
that stuff that just doesn't fly anymore, and we got to be more like Missouri, the show me state. Show me what you're going to do,
right?
And show me how you're going to act. And so I would really be on smoke up your butt if I sat here right now and just started flying off and telling you how much greater I am than everyone else without ever having proven it before in office. So it's kind of a leap of faith thing.
Well, it is, and I think you kind of just I was going to ask you really, and this was a question that was put to me by one of the listeners, people don't know unless they saw you on the show some time ago. Give us a little bit of background. How old are you, Travis?
I'm 25.
Okay, and for a lot of people that live here in Kitsap County, we've seen what electing a young man to office in the form of, I don't know, say a Josh Brown accomplishes for a local community.
Love you, Josh.
And this is not in any way to detract from your candidacy, because I think you and I share a lot of the exact same ideals and values. What do you tell people that may feel that, hey, you're still a little bit young? How do you overcome that with them?
Well, being young is kind of a double-edged sword. You're viewed as, fresh and new and everything, and at the other side, you're viewed as inexperienced. And what usually I don't usually say this, but runs through my mind is, look, we've got a bunch of older people in here, and they're all got bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and they own businesses, and they're all grandfathers, and they've got 5 grandkids. Let's hear from one, and those people are the ones that have been kicking the can down the road for a long time now, and look at what shape our country is in, and part of the argument is like, hell, why not get 20-somethings or 30-somethings in there that couldn't do any worse?
I agree with you. I'm right there with you, and that's my point to people that may be listening and have that question: is that, are you
right.
Are you scared?
Yeah, I see what you mean, and usually, sometimes I will get that, but I find that usually if I could sit down and talk to somebody for a while, that kind of disappears.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
What they really want to know is, do you know what you're doing? Do you know anything about these issues? And I mean, you pretty much you could talk to anyone like Drew McEwen or Dan Christie. I mean, I'm endorsed by these people, and they wouldn't endorse me if they didn't think I knew what I was doing. I don't even think I would be in this position for running for the state senate of any kind of support if I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So,
and you're right, because it's not something that an individual is going to take lightly. I mean, the rest of
Right.
your life is based on this decision in a lot of ways, whether you succeed or fail, and how you deal or cope with that. And I personally want to tell you, it's nice to see you. Your age irrelevant to me. But on the same note, it's nice to see that somebody younger like yourself is willing to literally jump into the water, feet first. You don't know how deep it is. You don't know what they're going to end up doing to you in the long run. And let's face it, these people play dirty, nasty ball. And I don't know, I don't know how your opponent has dealt with you in the race. But Kevin and I have seemed to find, even in a local mayoral race here, man, mud gets slung, man. You politicians are nasty.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's stayed pretty quiet, and I've probably jabbed more at him than he has at me. So, and that's just part of being an incumbent. I think you're
Sure.
going to take the majority of the jabs,
Sure.
because he has a voting record and I don't. So,
Right.
But so I kind of jabbed in. Like the pursuer, that's a huge problem. That's kind of his baby, because what people have to understand is my opponent is not just a state senator; he's also the Mason County Commissioner. He holds two positions, which you can make the constitutional argument about how legal that is.
Yeah,
or
and that sounds a
ethical or
little
whatever.
conflicted to me, or conflicting interests to me. But
Right. So, for instance, the biggest conflicting interest is that when he goes to vote in the state senate, whose interest does he have? Does he have the entire 35th district's interest, or does he just have Mason County's interest first?
right, and have you been able to ask him that question directly, say in any type of forum environment?
Well, I would ask him something like that at a county commissioner meeting, but he never shows up to work. He doesn't.
Lord.
He hasn't. I think he's. They even had an article about it in the Shelton Journal here, and had chronicled every day that he's missed, and I think he's missed at least over 80% of his time as county commissioner this year.
Wow.
And that's a little ridiculous. People kind of don't want an absent county commissioner and then
Sure.
a state,
Sure. You know what, Travis, Kevin and I have experienced this before. In fact, in a recent election here in Kitsap County, we had a guy on a national level, and his entire strategy was to pretend that he was not up for re-election. Remember who that was?
Yeah, that was Norm Dix.
He just pretended he wasn't up for re-election. He figured, hey, that's all I got to do is
Yeah.
just pretend I'm not up. My
I'll
name's
just
on the
maintain an
ballot.
office somewhere that people can drop off their hate mail. One more quick question for you, and I want to touch on this because just as a guy that's running for office on a state level, I always think this is a curious question. One of the things I read on the Thurston County Heritage site is that you're very much pro-choice. Very much pro-life.
Man,
And,
don't
sorry,
mix,
I know.
Don't
I
mix
got
those
to get
up,
this
Kevin.
right. I know. I got to get this right. Very much pro-life and very much anti-abortion. And talk to me on two fronts. How would that impact you if you're elected as a candidate? And how should it impact you as a candidate, given the fact that it's already established at a federal level? Because I always hear candidates on a state level talk about things that are already decided federally, and the first thing that pops into my head is you're kind of wasting your time, aren't you? If it's decided federally, how much do you really have to do at a state level to impact something that's already been decided at a Supreme Court level or at a federal level? We talk about immigration.
Right. Well,
we talk
I
about
think
abortion.
It's important to. Well, let me answer the first question first. Yes, I am 110% pro-life, but I don't make it a major issue. It is an issue to me, but it's not something I view that I could do anything about anytime soon. So I really don't go around, beating on the abortion drum. And when I talk because I have a good coalition of Democrats who are pro-choice and Republicans who are pro-life, and what I tell them is, look, let's focus on reducing the amount of abortions in Washington State. Let's just work together on seeing if we could reduce actual abortions. And, you're right. The landscape isn't right for that right now. But, if something comes up, I will definitely be on the side of life. Because to me, it's a constitution. It's not really a women's issue or anything like that. Of course, Republicans want to protect women. There's no war on women. My wife's a Republican. Does that mean she hates herself? It just doesn't really add up. But it's more about protecting the lives of these babies. I mean, some of us, maybe even some of the listeners, have maybe been that child before that almost was aborted or something, and the mom decided differently. And I'm not looking to throw people in prison or something so astronomically radical to, you had an abortion, now you belong in prison. I'm not really like that. I don't think that you should, sit on your kind of throne and destroy a young woman's life for making a mistake or making a bad choice. But I do want to deter the abortion as much as I possibly can. But you're right. It has been decided on Roe v. Wade exactly what's going on. But honestly, the Republican view, and I'm talking to a lot of Republicans, the quickest way to overturn Roe v. Wade wouldn't be to actually overturn Roe v. Wade. It would be having each individual state using their sovereign power as a state to nullify something like that and change the law, which is perfectly constitutional and perfectly within the state's means to do so.
Fair enough. So, Paul?
Yeah. We've heard it preached to us on this show many times, and we actually kind of agree with it. All politics, state politics, local politics, is all national politics. So let me ask you about state sovereignty. Okay, you're elected and you get into office. Can you talk to me about some of the federal policies that are currently in place? And I think without me saying, what you may work at a state level to kind of shield the people from Washington State from?
Yeah. Where do I start?
Anywhere you want, pal. Anywhere you want.
I'll point out one that I worked on in the last session, and then I'll point out one I want to see worked on in the next session. Last session, we worked on the National Defense Authorization Act, which gives President Obama the unilateral authority to indefinitely detain U.S. citizens without habeas corpus, which means, trial.
Sure.
And we worked to nullify that. And, a lot of people don't know what this is, but if you look up what nullification means, it's the state's ability to nullify bad federal law or unconstitutional law, which, of course, this is, because it's definitely against the Bill of Rights.
Right. And Travis is referring, he's referring to the NDAA. So
right, NDAA.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA. We worked on that, and actually it did go through it went through. We testified on it committee, but we ran out of time, and I think that's kind of a little parliamentary trick that happens. But we even had Congressman Justin Amash from Michigan even send us a letter that so it was technically for the record. So I think that Justin Amash from Michigan, the congressman over there, he's actually in the Washington State record for testifying on that. But so we worked on that, and then right now it's the big issue. It's Obamacare. I mean, what a disaster. I think most conservatives, I don't know what you think, Kevin, but Paul and me, we knew this was going to be a disaster, and a lot of other people knew it was going to be a disaster, but a lot of people are getting the sticker shock. They're just waking up to how terrible this thing really is, and I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. But
if they can get online to figure that sticker shock out.
I know.
What?
Right, and you could go onto the Washington Health Exchange, and they got a calculator on there. You don't even have to sign up and give the government your information.
Again, hey Travis, are you aware of these statistics? In Washington State, as of last week, 35,000 people had enrolled, and of the 35,000 enrolled in Washington State, 87% are on Medicaid. That's a winning formula.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the huge reasons kind of battles I had with my opponent, and honestly, the Republican Party. The Republican Party in the legislature, they kind of just rolled over and they kind of accepted the fact that we were going to have Medicaid expansion. We didn't really put up a fight. It really wasn't a fight at all, and I think there's a lot of libertarians and more conservative people in the Republican Party, and even some independents that are really upset about that, and I hear that a lot too. And I was beating on that drum before a lot of people even knew about it. But we expanded Medicaid. You know what they call Medicaid expansion in the state? They call it the welcome mat. I mean that's how really just out of touch we're getting. The Democrats, I feel, in the state are starting to get, and even at a national level. But I mean, we're calling a dependency program the welcome mat, and I mean, really, they have been welcoming him in. And if I've been asking this question to see if just to get people thinking. If let's say the website worked and we all went up and signed up in the health exchange, and what if tomorrow all of us that had signed up for the health exchange decided not to pay our premiums? Would we all just end up on Medicaid expansion? You better believe it, because they can't. The insurance company can't take us off the rolls, right?
Yep.
And so that's kind of there's a lot of tricky little questions, and it boils down to this: central planning just doesn't work. We cannot continue to central plan and make one-size-fits-all solutions to things like healthcare or anything else any longer. And that's part of the inside-the-box mentality, is that government thinks they see a problem, they think government automatically can fix it. And government has a terrible track record of fixing things. And right now with, I just was reading the Associated Press article, I think yesterday or the day before, 290,000 Washingtonians have had their healthcare policies canceled on them because they don't conform to the Obamacare standards. I mean, this goes right in the face of if you like your plan, you can keep your plan, kind of thing that the president was saying. And right, wrong, or indifferent, there's always a lot of good intentions involved with a lot of policies from both sides, Republicans or Democrats. Right now, it's Democrats and Obamacare. I mean, the intention is we want to make it healthcare affordable, and we want to, cover Americans that were never covered before. But the consequences are always so terrible because they just can't. It's kind of like Hayek said about economics. Friedrich Hayek, he said, "The curious task of economics is to teach to men how little they know about what they imagine they can design."
Absolutely,
meaning that a human being is not smart enough to see so far down the road and elaborately coordinate something so large as Obamacare. I mean, we hired, 16,000 new IRS agents, but not one new doctor. I mean, this thing is just an enormous, overbearing tax on the American people, and it takes away choice and everything else.
That's right. And let's be honest, the number one company that was hired to take care of this entire website fiasco was who? A company from Canada. That's great.
Terrence and Phillip.
Yeah. So listen, Travis, let's do this. We'd like to, like we did with Dan when he was running, we'd like to invite you in, a couple times over the next year. Come sit down in the studio with us, answer some listener questions and stuff like that. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, sure. I would definitely be willing to do that.
Good. And we'll make an attempt to get your opponent on, see if we can get him to pretend like he is in a re-election campaign, and and I mean that in the nicest possible way. I mean, don't get me wrong. And for the sake of disclosure, we haven't called him yet.
Yeah, he probably doesn't. Do they have internet in Belfair? I'm kidding. It's just a joke. I'm just kidding. But no, we'll get you on again, and we'll have you on a few times throughout the year, and as we get closer to next year's election, we'll really, we'll see what we can set up and just really get into some more of the meat of the issues and dive into it from there. You got a big race ahead of you. You're going to have to make it through the primaries and that whole process. So we'll have you on.
Well, we're raising money, and the early indications look really well. We got Democrats and Republicans on our side, and the Democrats don't like him that much anymore, and Republicans would rather just vote for a Republican, honestly. So it's going to be a really interesting race. It's going to be funny if I could pull out a win here. That's going to have pretty huge implications across the entire state. And the state Republican Party has actually targeted the state Senate in 2014 for my race and probably a few others that they could possibly retain or win as the number one priority for 2014. So, I'm definitely right up there. The 35th is a place it's really a swing district, goes one way or another. And right now the voters there are just searching for somebody that's going to, speak power to truth right now, and give them, and just give them something to kind of look forward towards in the future. And that's another thing. We're going to try to build our future here, and instead of being, hampered down in the past. It's funny. I told you guys I was 25 years old. Well, my opponent's been elected for 25 years. I kind of joke around sometimes, and I said 25 years ago, me and Tim were first learning to take our first steps. He was learning how to, walk around Olympia, and I was just learning how to walk. So,
yeah, right.
It's not going to be easy. No race is ever easy. But if people want to find out more, of course, I'll be on I'll be on the radio show as time goes on whenever you guys invite me in. And, I'm really active on social media, Facebook and Twitter. And I also have a website, which is just traviscouture.com. And there's an issues page and stuff. And I'm pretty good. I got my phone number listed on there. So I like people, they don't like them to call some campaign manager or something like that. They can call me directly and ask me anything they want and be as harsh as they think they can be. I've kind of heard it all by now, but I'm really open like that, and I love to talk about it, and I'm kind of almost addicted to politics. So it feels good to get out there and talk to people and just be involved.
Sounds good. Travis Couture again running for the 35th Legislative District in the state of Washington. 3-5. Coming up in next year's election. Travis, we'll have you on again soon, man. Thanks for coming on and joining us here on Outlaw Radio.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it, Travis.
There he goes.
Yeah,
Travis
you guys
Couture.
have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. All right. So, and it's nice to have Travis on. People are going to say, why'd you have him on so early when we're just days away? Well, it's simple. I think it'll be really fun to follow Travis through the process.
Yeah.
We don't ever get the opportunity to kind of start at the beginning, which is where Travis is at. We've had Travis on here before. We've known him through the Griffey campaign. He's been we talked with him in person before.
And these state seats are up every 2 years. And they're staggered, and I thought that that's why I thought maybe that's why we had been contacted last week about getting him booked. I thought they just wanted to get him a little bit of extra press before they went. So, and again, for me, I haven't had power the last 2 days.
Yeah,
so
you've been kind of out of it, yeah.
I haven't been able to do any research or
damn that Obamacare
on any of that stuff. Yeah, I saw that you posted that. You really, that's really not nice of you. First of all,
I'm a funny guy.
To lump Mother Nature in with President
I'm a funny
Obama.
Guy. What I'm now doing on my Facebook page, whenever anybody compares about anything mundane, like I lost my power or
that was not very mundane.
I ran out of gas on the side of the road. My response is, "Damn Obamacare."
So listen, I'm going to ask you this because we're going to go to break here in just a few minutes.
It's raining.
We're going to come back after the break with Scott Walter. But I want to ask you this because he touched on this a little bit in the interview. The issues that were made during the election, the ramp up to the election, we now know that the two primary promises, I think we can all agree that the primary issue that the 12 election was run on was Obamacare, was the Affordable Care Act.
Okay.
I mean, that was the primary issue. And you and Don Manning even pointed that out in our last conversation.
I don't know if I agree if it was the primary issue because
can you give me an issue that was more pressing than that? And I mean, yes, it doesn't matter.
I think the economic recovery was more pressing because I think a lot of people looked at Romney as
don't get away
as
from you know where I'm
Obama
going. You're going to stall. Don't stall.
No, I'm not stalling. Go ahead.
You're stalling.
Go ahead.
So my question to you is that a big part of his push was if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan. Now we know at this stage in the game that either that was an untruth, a lie, a misstatement, whatever it is.
Ask the question at 9 o'clock. Because my answer is going to take longer than 30 seconds I have in this bump, and you are not going to back me into a corner with 5 seconds to answer.
I was trying, darn
Also, coming up later.
I just want to know if he was lying.
In fact, before we bring Scott on, I'm going to give Paul a 5-second question at the end of this at the end of the top of the hour news. Will Patty win re-election against Todd Best? 5-second answer is all that's needed, I believe. We'll do it at the top of the hour news before Scott Walters comes on. Stick around, Outlaw Radio Network.
Get outlawed.
NPR News in Washington, Barbara Klein. President Obama crossed the Potomac River today to campaign for Virginia's Democratic candidate for governor. Terry McAuliffe, a former Democratic Party fundraiser, is running against conservative Republican Ken Cuccinelli. Democrats are hoping to turn this Tuesday's election into a referendum on the Tea Party, and the president made the case today at a high school in Northern Virginia, an area hit hard by last month's government shutdown.
He called on Speaker Boehner to stand up to the Tea Party, reopen the government so Virginians could go back to work. He stood up for you. Instead of joining him, Terry's opponents sided with the people who'd rather hurt folks to make a point.
Meanwhile, voters in Alabama cast ballots today in a runoff election for a Republican congressional candidate in a special election. They're choosing between a more establishment Republican and a religious conservative aligned with the Tea Party. In a New Orleans courtroom tomorrow, oil giant BP will try to reverse a multi-billion-dollar settlement for the 2010 oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Eileen Fleming of member station WWNO reports BP says fraudulent claims are being paid.
BP agreed a year ago to a payment system worked out with residents and businesses. But since then, the company has complained the victims' compensation deal is being misinterpreted. It says the claims administrator and federal judge that approved the deal are allowing payments for fake or inflated damages. At issue for the appellate court is the payment system for businesses, not individuals. BP said it expected to pay nearly $8 billion to resolve claims for its 2010 oil spill. It says it no longer has an accurate prediction of how much it will ultimately cost. For NPR News, I'm Eileen Fleming in New Orleans.
French President François Hollande is calling the killings of 2 French journalists in northern Mali yesterday a despicable act. NPR's Eleanor Beardsley reports from Paris.
Hollande is holding an emergency meeting at the Élysée Palace aimed at shedding light on the double murder. The 2 journalists from Radio France Internationale, the French equivalent of the Voice of America, were kidnapped just after interviewing the head of a Tuareg separatist group. Their bodies were found riddled with bullets about 7 miles outside the Mali city of Kidal. The incident highlights the violent and unstable atmosphere that still reigns in the north of Mali, a few months after French troops intervened to oust Islamist radicals. The 2 journalists were 51-year-old Ghislaine Dupont, who had covered the continent for the last 25 years, and 58-year-old Claude Verlon, a veteran field reporter and engineer. Eleanor Beardsley, NPR News, Paris.
Secretary of State John Kerry was in Egypt today, his first visit to the country since Islamist President Mohamed Morsi was ousted in July. Kerry pressed the interim military-backed government to restore civilian democratic rule. This is NPR. In London, the jury in Britain's phone hacking trial has been hearing details of misbehavior by Rupert Murdoch's tabloids, including intercepting voicemails and making illegal payments to get stories about celebrities and royals. Among the defendants, editors of the now closed News of the World, Rebecca Brooks, and Andy Coulson. Coulson later went on to become the communications chief for Prime Minister David Cameron. NPR's Philip Reeves reports the first few days of testimony have painted a picture of a no-holds-barred battle for scoops.
The prosecution says the News of the World hacked into the voicemails of many, including actors Jude Law and Sienna Miller, several senior British government ministers, and a murdered teenage girl. It says this started when Brooks became editor and continued after Coulson took over. The jury was told Coulson received an email from a News of the World journalist who was worried the paper might be beaten by a rival to an exclusive about the son of the legendary soccer star George Best. Coulson wrote back, "Do his phone." The prosecution says after moving on to become editor of Murdoch's tabloid The Sun, Brooks agreed to pay a soldier for a snap of Prince William wearing an open Hawaiian shirt and a yellow bikini at a James Bond party. Philip Reeves, NPR News, London.
After Superstorm Sandy forced last year's New York City Marathon to cancel, it went off today without a hitch, and with a record number of runners at the starting line, more than 50,000. Security was tightened in the wake of the Boston Marathon bombings in April, but that didn't seem to dampen the crowd's enthusiasm. Kenyans were first across the finish lines in both the men's and women's races, Jeffrey Mutai and Priska Jeptu. I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News in Washington.
Support. Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece, give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
CoinForce.com is your headquarters for superior quality challenge coins, proudly serving military and non-military customers worldwide. Located near the main gate of McCord Air Force Base and close to Fort Lewis, CoinForce.com is owned and operated by retired military veterans. CoinForce.com understands your needs and are proud to continue serving the military community in our own special way. For an undisputed best value, extreme quality, and superior customer service, when you're looking for the world's largest selection of challenge coins, visit CoinForce.com, owned and operated by retired military veterans.
Hey, sports fans, have you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network? But wish no more. It's ISPNsports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNsports.com.
Good evening. My name's Wayne. Some of you may have seen me before. I've been kicking around Hollywood a long time.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
Because I think it's the best thing of its kind that's come along. And I hope you'll agree with me. It's honest, it's adult, it's realistic.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network moving into hour number 2. Thanks
Love
for
that
checking
intro.
out the show. I know you do.
I do. I just love that intro.
You're the one who built the intro.
So eclectic.
Thanks for checking out the show. We appreciate it. St. Paul, the voice of reason.
K-Dog, the loose cannon.
Really quickly, before we get to our guests, I wanted to ask you, as we didn't get a chance to cover it last hour, yes or no, quickly, does Patty Lent win re-election on the election on Tuesday against Todd Best?
I believe so.
Yeah. I think it's kind of a simple answer at this point, isn't it?
Well, I believe so. I think
following his Starbucks scandal, and I think he had a hard road ahead of him anyway.
Yeah, probably
just
true.
because she's pretty well established. But
so I am so proud of you. Because,
hold on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised would you be if he won?
10.
You'd be that surprised?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, go ahead.
I want to give you the opportunity to introduce our next guest because I know you went way out of your way to do a ton of research. And I mean, it was my idea to try to book him. I absolutely love his show. I love his books. I'm getting ready to go out and buy his next one, Akhenaten to the Founding Fathers, The Mysteries of the Hooked X. So go ahead, Kevin.
I will. Scott Walter is the host of the History Channel's American Unearthed. I hadn't seen the show up until we found out he was coming on the show, and it was on H2 yesterday, and I got to watch several episodes yesterday.
Well, the rest of us were without power.
While you were without power because you live in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
and I was able to watch the show, and I was really impressed. I love the show, and we're really excited to have Scott Walter join us live on the phone. Scott, thank you so much for joining us here on the Outlaw Radio Network.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, sir, very much for joining us.
It's surreal to have seen you on TV yesterday and have you on the show today. I think it's cool.
I experience the same thing. I watch the show and I say to myself, "Who's that guy?"
Right? I hate the same feeling when I watch us on, the internet. Listen, I wanted to ask you, did I pronounce the name correctly? Is it Akhenaten?
Akhenaten. Yep, that's right. Just
thank God.
Akhenaten. Aten. He changed his name to Akhenaten, and I just think of Aten, which is he changed the religion to venerate the rising sun as opposed to the old religion, which venerated the setting sun. So
was he
Aten.
Was he one of the first Egyptian rulers to go to a type of monotheism?
He was the first one. Yep.
Okay.
And he was the one that did it because it was time to change the religion. Because of the high priesthood, and of course the pharaohs are a member of the high priesthood, that tracked the procession of the equinoxes very, very closely. And when he came into power, the age changed from Taurus the bull to Aries the ram, and that's what triggered this change in the religion. And you see it in the symbolism on both he and his son's sarcophagus. I mean, and their depictions. You see him holding the crook and the flail. The flail herds the bulls, the followers of Taurus, and the crook herds the sheep, the rams of Aries. And that crossed over his chest was represented, amongst many other things, his attempt to try to unite the two religions, the old religion and the new religion.
Oh, that must have been a job for the ages, no pun intended.
Well, it didn't work out too well for him, so some people believe that that battle that he fought with the minor pharaohs to try to keep the old religion and his trying to install the new religion led to his ouster. Some people believe that was the biblical Exodus, and the followers of the new religion were the Israelites. And the first guy to propose that was Sigmund Freud in 1933 in a book called Moses and Monotheism.
Oh my goodness, that's very fascinating. I had not heard anything remotely like that, and I've even gone so far as to read that on a temple in Egypt, you can find something very similar to the Lord's Prayer inscribed. And so
Right.
I was curious, where you were going to go. That blows my mind.
By the way,
It's pretty cool. It blew my mind too when I first read it, but I know that Sigmund Freud was a close associate of Howard Carter, who was the one that brought King Tut into our lives.
Right,
so
right.
it's kind of interesting when you go back and you look at the history there of some of these key figures and who they ran with back in their day. It makes sense. He had some inside information apparently.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want you to give away too much from the new book, Scott. But when having looked at some of your previous work and listened to some of your previous interviews, I'm curious. I mean, are people coming out and saying that is this a real stretch that you're trying to make? Because I know you are adamant about the facts and the truth. Even if people come out and question you, if they say to you, well, listen, I have facts that support this, you seem more than willing, unlike a lot in academia, to accept the facts no matter where they take you. Am I kind of getting?
No, you're not giving anything away. You couched it very well, and that's exactly true. I'm not. It has nothing to do with bravery or any of that. I mean, I've been doing forensic work, for 30 years, and the facts always drive the investigation. It's not what I think or anybody else thinks. It's what the facts support. And so, if they support something that isn't, maybe what has been the prevailing wisdom for a long time or the prevailing thought, so be it. I mean, to me, it's no big deal. I just go where I understand sometimes the implications and that, some people might get upset, but, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to get to the truth. I mean, I'm just as curious as anybody else about what some of the answers are to these big questions and these mysteries, and I just go after it, and whatever shakes out.
I absolutely love that, and I know Kevin's got a couple of questions here.
I want to give the listeners an opportunity to kind of be introduced to you the way that I was introduced to you. The first episode that I saw from your show American Unearthed on H2, which was on H2 yesterday, was the one that where you were actually in the Arizona desert. And you were following up on some reports about a gentleman in the 20s, I believe it was, and an old World War I buddy of his that dug up some.
Oh, the lead artifacts.
Yeah, the lead artifacts. So,
my favorite. I love those.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit. I want to spend a lot of time on it because we got so much to cover. But I was impressed with a couple of things. One, which was the fact that you were. You were a cynic throughout the process. You were looking for specific things between, and I don't remember what it was called, but between the dirt pack around the relics.
Oh, the caliche.
Caliche, yeah. Thank you. To the type of growth that was on the actual.
The malachite and the azurite. Yep.
Exactly. See, he remembers the big words that I swore to God yesterday I was going to remember these in the interview. So talk about that a little bit, because I was impressed that throughout the whole thing, you were even talking to the gentleman's grandson, and you said, look, we don't know anything. We've got to verify that this happened, and this is true, and this is right. And if all of these things fall into place, then this is correct. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing we do in any investigation. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to customers, and not just with these historical mysteries, but in concrete problems and aggregate problems that I deal with on a daily basis. And I tell them, look, you may not like what I come back and tell you, but you're still going to pay me. you're going to get the truth, and you're going to pay me to give you the truth, whether you like it or not. In some cases, it's going to cost them a lot of money beyond what they pay me. So, but really, guys, it's no different whether I'm talking about a building or I'm talking about these artifacts. I have to be able to testify to the facts that I have generated in a court of law under oath, and that's the bar that I have to meet every time. And so, I have to be skeptical. I have to be careful, and I don't say anything unless I feel I have the evidence to support it. And in the case of the Tucson lead artifacts, these are, in my opinion, one of the crown jewels of pre-Columbian artifacts that absolutely drop a bomb on the history books, and I'm stunned that they have been pushed into the shadows. When you look at the geological evidence, of course, I'm the first person to look at these things because they were dismissed. Why spend time on a fake? But the part that blows my mind is when you look at the veracity of the digs that were done. They're perfect. I mean, they are perfect. There's nothing wrong with the way they excavated the artifacts. They documented everything. They brought in the archaeologists. They brought in the experts. For crying out loud, half a dozen of the artifacts were excavated by the University of Arizona's archaeology department.
Wow.
And the problem was they didn't like what was found. There's no problem with the dig, no evidence of intrusion, no planting, no nothing, but these can't be, so they're fake. I mean, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's mind-boggling.
It's yeah. Go ahead.
Well,
Kevin.
I'm sorry, and I was just going to say, based on the evidence of the caliche around it and the azurite and the other,
the azurite and malachite, which takes time to form. All three of those secondary minerals takes time to form, and to say nothing of the fact they have to be buried first under up to 6 feet of alluvial sand and gravel. I mean, this stuff is they're perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. They are incredible, and they should be featured on the front page of every newspaper in the country tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I think we're kind of there with you. In fact, I had people talking to me, hey, you're having this guy on this weekend, and he's going to talk about archaeology and all this history and stuff. And the one thing I tried to make clear to everybody was that I kind of prefer to call this just unknown history. It's just stuff that people like yourself are going out there and you're using the science to kind of say, hey, this is the reality of this situation. But one of the things we pride ourselves on here is we don't like political correctness. So I kind of got the feel from watching your shows, I think Kevin did too. You really kind of hold off on it seems to us, and tell me if I'm wrong, from your own personal feelings about things, but your feelings have got to be there. You got to have a theory. There's got to be something floating in your head saying, I think these are the people that put this here. I think this is when they did it. Is that, am I off on that?
Well, I'm not totally sure what you mean by that. I mean, I try to I try to be the guy that you see on the show is pretty much me. I mean, they edit and they cut around the things that we do and they make us look better than we are. Of course, I mean it's TV, right?
Right.
But no, I mean that's pretty much the way I am. And there have been a few cases where I've been with a guest or somebody on the show and. They're slinging bullshit, and I'll just say that's bullshit.
Like when you were talking about,
I'm going to call it out, and I think I'm right most of the time, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But that hasn't happened yet. But when someone's giving you a line, and when someone's being upfront, and I don't have time to waste on nonsense. My God, I got a lot of people that are criticizing me and complaining and calling me names and all these things. And to be honest with you, I really could care less. What I'm interested in is if you want to disagree with me, that's fine. But don't tell me what you think.
Right.
Show me your evidence.
I think
because if you don't like me or you don't like what I'm doing, we're happy for you.
Yeah, I think,
but it doesn't push the ball down the field, if you know what I mean.
Well, and I think the show did a good job of showing your passion, especially in the episode about the lost colony at Roanoke. I think you got into a nice heated discussion with the individual you were talking to. I don't remember who it was. I just remember
it was the owner of the restaurant. His name was Scott Dawson, and the part that pissed me off were there were two things. First of all, he was completely dismissive of my opinion about the Dare Stones. I didn't say that they were absolutely genuine. I said they look good to me.
Right.
And he just brushed it off with an arm stroke and didn't even want to hear about it. Well, Mr. Dawson wasn't exactly forthcoming because he has a vested interest in his opinion. He doesn't have any facts to support them, that the colonists came down to Hatteras where he was. But he's got a business that he's running, for crying out loud.
Sure.
He's got a monetary interest, to say nothing of the book he wrote that, supports his belief that the colonists were there. And what pissed me off is he was cutting me off and he was being dismissive of the work that I had done to that point. And there's a lot more work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't said absolutely that they're genuine, but everything I saw on those stones looked great to me.
All right.
And I would love to do a follow-up episode at some point, but he was a jerk, and I'm not afraid to say it.
There
he
you go,
was.
brother. I appreciate that.
No, I like that. I mean, listen. As Paul mentioned, we're really against this whole political correctness thing, and I think it's cool that you're just going to say, "Look, you're being a jerk, man. Just stop." You know, you're
Well,
as a scientist.
It's no, the political correctness everybody knows has run amok in our culture in many ways, but I think you still have to be respectful and
Sure.
and have show decency to people. But when they start acting silly, then careful what you wish for. You might not get what you expect.
That's right. Now,
Well, and it's always amazing to me too, Scott, is that I think it's really easy to argue opinions, right? Like on this show, we argue a lot about politics because I think politics are all a matter of opinion. But when we start talking about what you're doing, listen, you're a forensic geologist. There's not a lot of opinion to what you do because what you're doing is all based in fact and experiment and proof. And I don't get the opinion that there's a lot of room to argue. Now, you might argue interpretation, but you've got to have something concrete to come back to that interpretation against and say, well, okay, you've got your A plus X equals Y, I've got mine equals Z, and here's Y, and there's a logic base to that. There's not a lot of opinion based in how you're coming up with your answers.
Well, I don't know if I would say that. I mean, there is some subjectivity to what we do to some degree, and what we do, like anybody does in a scientific field, you generate a body of facts, and you interpret those facts, and sometimes it's pretty straightforward. Other times it's not, because and when it's not as straightforward, that means you just haven't developed enough facts to make it obvious. So you have to kind of use your experience and logic to try to come up with the best answer. But there's another thing too that is an option that I wish more academics would try, and that is, it's okay to say, I don't know.
yeah.
That's okay too, And what I found is that in many of these cases, especially with this historical paradigm that's been established, and anything that doesn't meet that, it seems to me that they feel emboldened because, well, I'm going to be on okay to dismiss this because that's accepted. That even if they have no evidence, which is the case in many of these situations, they render an opinion when it's completely inappropriate. And the problem is that we look at many of these academics, and I'm not talking about all of them. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful academics that do things the right way and aren't afraid to say, I don't know, but there's too damn many of them that are not like that. Mm-hmm. And I just wish that they would use their judgment. And I think they forget sometimes that the public looks at these people, and they assume that they're doing things the right way, that they're honest, they're ethical, they're objective, and in many cases they're not. And I think sometimes they forget that the public is looking up to them.
Absolutely.
And there's a responsibility that goes with that. And I think they forget that sometimes. And when they speak so flippantly about things that they don't know diddly about, they're letting everybody down.
That's right. Absolutely. Sure. I couldn't agree more. Now I want to actually ask you about something that's kind of eaten at my cross since I saw it on your one episode, and I did a little bit.
All right, let it out, pal.
No, this is a good one. This isn't a bad thing. I want to know if you have found out what happened to the Narragansett. What happened to the
what was that? No, I'm sorry.
What happened to the stone in Narragansett Bay?
It's back.
What?
It's back. It was returned.
So somebody drug it off and then brought it back?
Yes, it was. Well, I have to preface all this by saying I know a lot more than I can tell you.
All right. Well, that's fair.
Because there was a police investigation.
Sure.
And it was turned over, I think, after about 8 months. And I can't talk about who took it or what the circumstances are, but oh boy, and I want to.
for the listeners,
but I can't.
I understand.
The bottom line is that really it turned out to be the best case scenario, because at the time, shortly before it was stolen, I along with a couple of my friends were heading an effort to try to get it out of the water, to raise money to get it out of the water to a place where it could be protected preserved and made available for proper study. And that actually triggered a series of events that led to the theft.
I understand. Okay. All right.
Okay. So obviously I was pretty upset, but I had some thoughts as to what might have been going on, and it turns out I was right. But anyway, it was returned, and there is an effort now to get it with the help of the Rhode Island Freemasons, with a number of people are helping to raise money to get it put in a park near, close to where it originally was, and it will be protected and made available for study. So it's going to end up being a happy ending.
That is a wonderful, happy ending, all things aside. So that's really good to hear. That makes me feel better. I take. This is a long story. We don't need to get into it now, but I take a lot of the stuff that I read about with regards to Templar history and stuff like that. I take it very seriously. I take it very much to heart. And I've followed some of your work with regards to the coin, the Talpiot tomb.
Oh, the Talpiot tomb, yeah.
Yeah. Have you had an opportunity to talk to
Simca?
Simca?
Oh, yeah.
Have you really?
I know Simca pretty well.
Really? That's wonderful. Have you guys been able to collaborate on getting you an opportunity to really get in there and get your hands dirty?
We're working on that right now. We're trying to figure out how we can do that. It's a complicated situation over in Israel because forget about the fact that it's whose tomb.
Yeah, right.
The Orthodox Jews over there are not happy when if anybody goes into a tomb at any time. And I mean, there's sacred, places for the dead over there. So they get very upset. And so that's a huge hurdle you have to work around, even if you want to do good, sound academic work.
Right. Because the tomb's been covered.
The ironic thing, though, is that the Orthodox Jews don't understand that that's not the kind of Jew that Jesus was.
Right.
And in fact, back in his day, he wouldn't have gotten along at all with the Orthodox Jews, and of course that hasn't come out yet, but that'll come out in due time.
And I found it interesting in one of your episodes where you were talking about and you were explaining the hooked X to your friend from Rhode Island. You were explaining to him about the X, how it comes together with the male and female, and then it has the hook in it, and that the hook now, if I understand correctly, part of your theory is that the hook may represent the bloodline or the offspring. Is that correct? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, and I'm really happy about one thing. That, in the show, part of what we're talking about here, you have to give people enough information so that they can follow along. But at the same time, I kind of like the idea of leaving some things a little bit shrouded in mystery, because right at the end when I drew the hook and I said, and that means, and I didn't say what it meant. Oh my gosh, I got so many emails and calls from people, with their thought on what that was, and that's exactly what I wanted to do there. I want people to think about that and not just spoon feed them everything. Sure. But you're right. I mean, it represents the child, the offspring, in this case, the daughter, Sarah,
right?
And a continuation, the perpetuation of the ideology and thought and the bloodline.
Right.
So it means all those things. It's an incredible symbol. And if you think about it, remember I was talking about the cross, crook, and the flail. Well, just close your eyes for a second. Just think about what that looks like, and then think about the hooked X.
Very interesting.
It's the same thing, and it means the same thing.
Well, I've read a lot that some people believe that the Templar Order goes all the way back to the guarding the Ark of the Covenant. So
who says they're not still guarding it to this day?
Absolutely, that very much could. I can't disagree with that. I don't know.
Well, let's talk.
I'm not saying I know, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be stunned at all if that were the case.
Let's talk about Knights Templar for a second, because I know that there's a, and you've touched on this in several of your episodes. In fact, the one we talked about about the the artifacts in the Arizona desert. Comes back to that.
Those are precursors to the Knights Templar. It's the same bloodline families.
Yeah, the Kensington runestone. There's other. Talk about that a little bit, because some people, and listen, I'm the cynic amongst us, okay? And for the longest time, I've thought, the Templars were here. Whatever. But as I continue to learn more and read more and watch more and hear from sources like you and just all the other stuff that I'm learning about, it becomes more and more clear to me that there's something unquestionable in the fact that they had to have been here. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's the elephant in the room. I don't know how. I don't know why. This hasn't been accepted. I mean, to me, it's obvious. I mean, if you go back in history, look at the logic. I mean, who had the money? Who had the means?
Templars.
Who had the ships?
Templars.
Who had the motivation?
Templars.
I mean, they were creating a sanctuary in a place that they already knew about, that their ancestors had already been numerous times, going back thousands of years. I mean, North America was the worst kept secret in sailing circles for sure. And, within these various secret societies, they knew all about the New World. The church knew about the New World. Are you kidding me? And so, I mean, if you think about it, the Templars, and people say, well, where are the documents? What do you mean, where are the documents? I mean, these people did these things in secret, for crying out loud. I mean, what a stupid thing to say.
Right. Well,
I mean,
Scott,
in some ways, to me, it's so obvious. It's like, I can't believe people don't believe it.
That's right. Well, Scott, one of the documents does exist, and it's been public for a while, and that's the Piri Reis map, right?
Yeah.
Well,
there's. I can tell you this. There's a number of documents that are consistent with them coming over here. They just haven't been made. They just aren't out yet. I'm aware of a few, but
you're happy.
Talk about them.
You're happy to talk about them. You go
well,
right
no,
ahead.
I mean, I know they exist, and I've seen one or two, and I mean, again, and here's another angle that I do talk about in my new book, and it's another thing that to me is so obvious. It's like, how come nobody's talked about this before? I mean, in a real academic way. I mean, all these cultures that were coming over here, forget about the Templars, but let's just talk about the Templars. Who do you think they ran into when they came over here?
Well, I think, Scott, that raises a very interesting question, because there are, in fact, here in Washington State, we have an archaeological mystery, which is the Kennewick Man.
Yeah.
Which is a 9,000-year-old set of remains that belong to a Caucasian. So,
I know all about them. I just looked at them last week.
Really?
Did you really?
Hold on. You were over here. You were at the Burke Museum last week?
I was standing in front of the Burke Museum.
Oh. You know what? And I was
I take that back. I didn't see the actual remains because they won't let anyone.
Right.
Look
Well,
at them.
now,
but I will just tell you this: in the new season, you will learn all about the Kennewick Man.
Oh, look! There's a teaser for the new season. Listen, before
it's funny, I was just there last week, and I had a fantastic time.
Before we get too far away from this, let me ask you the other half of the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't all this be accepted? I mean, is there a reason you can come up with why academia as a whole is saying, you know what, we've got this overwhelming evidence that the Knights were here. We got the Kensington still. We got all this other stuff.
What academic? Seriously, what academic is going to come out and say that? Nobody has the balls to do it, and they're not going to do it because they would be laughed out of their colleges, and it'd be done. I mean, I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's going to become common knowledge pretty soon. But here's the thing: you ask the question, why? What is wrong with these people? Why don't they see the obvious? And why is it that this is not coming out? There's a couple things going on here. One is you've got just the way academia works in general makes it impossible for them to get anything done. And there's problems of the human condition, egos, protecting turf, all those things that come into play in academia. And we all know they're there, and we all know that they've impacted this. They don't want to talk about it, but it's true. But the other part of this, and I'm very serious about this, is in a sense, and I'm not really sure the best way to couch this, there are larger forces at work here. I mean, for example, I was inkling that the Native Americans might know something about the people that came here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, duh. Of course they do. Of course they do. Well, they haven't exactly been in the mood to talk with us, have they? Because we white people didn't treat them very well.
Yeah.
We killed them.
Right.
And so, but I can promise you, I've reached out to a number of tribes, and if you listen and respect their culture, you'd be surprised what you get back. And they know all about the Templars. I can guarantee you that.
The truth is there for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, and I think that's
that's a big part of it. That's a huge part of it. But here's what I'm getting at. The other problem is that you've got certain people that don't want this to come out because it's going to implement some major changes. It's going to cost certain people money. And, of course, you've also got the religion angle. And the bottom line is this, from the standpoint of the Roman Church, which is struggling already, they don't want any of these things to be true. Take, for example, the Tucson lead artifacts or the Kensington runestone or the Newport Tower and any of these other things, the Bat Creek stone. Once one of them becomes accepted, then the dominoes start to fall.
Right.
And they end up at the Telpiat tomb.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to go there.
Listen, I made all my friends and family when Simca's when he teamed up with the guy that did Titanic and they did that special.
James Cameron.
Yeah, I had like 30 people at my house, and I made them sit down and watch this and just not really comment on it, just digest it. And I'll tell you what, man, the range of emotions was from top to bottom. I mean, it covered the spectrum. People were pissed. People couldn't believe it. And then there were other people.
I wish I was there. That must have been pretty darn interesting.
Scott, listen, to give you an idea what kind of person Paul is, how some people have like Twilight viewing parties or they have Super Bowl viewing parties.
He's got Telpiat tomb viewing parties.
It was. I actually barbecued.
Again, for the listeners at home, again, we're talking with Scott Walter. He's the host of History H2 Channel's American Unearthed. He's also got the book coming out, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of this because I'll mess it up again. Scott, will you help me?
Akhenaten. Akhenaten to the founding fathers, mysteries of the Hooked X.
And you can order the book. You can order the book, by the way, at hookedx.com, and you can also find out more about Scott and the book. And I wasn't aware of this, but you've got nine books. Is that correct? 10 books?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's
He's
it.
like, I'm losing count. It's like when a guy has a lot of kids, right? Right.
Well, some of them, some of them have to do with other subjects. I've written about Lake Superior agates, and I've written some concrete stuff too. And
concrete? Really? I do concrete work. Really? You do concrete?
Yeah. So you guys are
most of the material forensics I work on is problem concrete. Structural failures, fire damage, cracking, low strength, scaling, delaminations. I mean, that's what I do most of the time.
Listen, you're gonna find this funny. My wife and I were gonna plan a trip, right? It was our honeymoon because we got married right after 9/11, and she says, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "I want to go to Italy." She's like, "Wonderful, that's great. Let's go. Let's have a good time." She started looking at the places that I was planning out to go. She's like, "Oh, you want to see all the Roman ruins?" I was like, "Darling, I want to go and look at Roman concrete." She was like, "We are not going to Italy to look at concrete." So I and I tell that story because it's really funny and it makes me look like a complete dumbass.
And if you knew his
I think
wife,
it's cool as hell. The Romans, they not only knew how to burn limestone to make lime, but they peppered it with silica, with volcanic ash.
That's right.
And that's how you get calcium silicates. That's how you get the real hard stuff the strong stuff.
And a lot of they used aggregate that was pumice, if I understood correctly.
Yeah, for lightweight. That would have been lightweight aggregate.
Yeah. Now, did you see, since you're a concrete guy, have you followed the archaeological digs that are going on in Yugoslavia with the pyramids that have been found there?
No, but I've heard about them. Are you talking about
Pyramid of the Sun, and there's an entire valley, and they were mountains, and they were shaped like pyramids.
Yep. No, I know. The guy, actually, I did some work on that. He sent me some samples.
Was it really concrete?
To know, his name is,
I know who you, yes, I know. It's a hard name to pronounce.
It's a long name. I think it starts with an O, but Ben something. But anyway, he sent me some of the samples, and he wanted to know, are these natural or is this man-made?
Yeah.
In the case of the samples he sent me, they were colluvium that were actually caliche cemented, just like the Tucson lead artifacts.
So
they were natural, but that doesn't and they could have been part of a block. It didn't really. I didn't understand the context of the samples he gave me. So.
Oh, fascinating stuff. Anyway, but so let's get back to some more serious stuff that I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I have been wondering about this ever since I've been studying Templar history. Where do you think the fleet went? Clearly, they were tipped off. So when the French king had his men show up to arrest the Templars, some Templars stayed behind. They were the sacrificial lambs. Clearly, they were, happy to do it.
Jacques de Molay,
right. And the fleet disappeared. So I've heard theories about the fleet taking off and going to Scotland, where some of the Templars helped Robert the Bruce win the freedom of the Scottish, because I guess the Bruce was excommunicated by the church. It was someplace they were safe to be. Some of the Templars helped found the country we now refer to as Switzerland, implementing some of their banking practices.
Right.
I mean, I'm still trying to vet a lot of it, and I'm still trying to figure out what's true.
Well, I think the first thing you have to understand is that when the Templars were dissolved, I mean, the writing had been on the wall for a long time, so things were starting to change within the order. But when the put down came down on the Friday the 13th. By the way, they selected that date on purpose because the number 13 is very significant, because it's symbolic with the 13th letter in the alphabet, which is the letter M, which is the symbol for Mary Magdalene, their bloodline ancestor, and the person that they venerated, who also represented the goddess and Isis and all of that. But and basically the church chose that day as a way of saying, we're not going to put up with any more of this Mary Magdalene crap. And that's so that number has been bandied about for a long time. But anyway, when they I guess the first point I want to make is that the only place that the Templars were, seriously physically affected was in France. I mean, that's where most of their strongholds were, but they were all over Europe and the Mediterranean region, but only in France were they arrested, tortured, and burned. I think they arrested like 2 Knights Templar in the British Isles, but everywhere else in the world they were basically unaffected. I mean, they had to change the way they were doing things. In Portugal, which is the main seat of the Knights Templar, in the Iberian Peninsula at Tomar, they've just changed their name to the Knights of Christ and continued on as usual.
Right.
I mean, that's where Christopher Columbus was based. I mean, he was a Templar too, for crying out loud. He's got the hooked X in his sigla.
Right. His father-in-law, right?
But in answer to your question, where did they go after they left La Rochelle? They definitely went to Scotland. I think they split up. Some went to Scotland, some went to Denmark, and some went to Tomar in Portugal. So that's where I think the fleet went. They never put all their eggs into one basket.
Right.
So they wouldn't do that with their fleet either.
Right.
But you have to understand, they'd already set up their base. They'd been almost 200 years. They had been preparing for moving their home base, if you will, to the sanctuary in North America. So it wasn't the end of the world for them.
Sure.
And you got to remember something else. It's not just the Templars. The Cistercian monks, who were the most successful monastic order in history, with tens of thousands of monks all across Europe into Scandinavia. I mean, they were the masterminds. They're the ones that created the Knights Templar.
Right. They were
and
the
in essence, they were all one and the same. They
Right.
served a different function within the operation, but don't forget about the Cistercians. They were the brains behind the outfit.
Yeah, and their beer is great.
They drank, I've heard from some scholars, they averaged a gallon of beer a day.
Oh, good Lord.
Wow.
My kind of guys.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty good, man.
What are the Cistercian monks? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
There ain't no party like a Cistercian party. All right.
That's right, man.
Feel free to
The
use
original toga party.
Yeah, feel free to use that on your show. Hey, let me ask you a question. The Templar question is a huge question. So narrow this down for me. Is there one... I call it alternate history. Paul calls it unanswered history. Is there one specific question that is in the back of your mind that is the one most pressing thing that you want an answer to? Like if you were gonna, is it the Kensington Stone? Is it where'd the Templars go? Is there one question in your mind that would be the one holy grail for you individually to get an answer to?
That was funny, Holy Grail.
I know, holy grail. I picked that on purpose.
That's pretty good. I like
you
the
like
way
that?
You leave that in there.
You like
good.
that? I'm a genius.
Well, there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that I have questions on. I think, in some cases in my own mind, I already know the answers, because, when I think about all this history and these different artifacts and these different, things that we know and things we don't know, to me it's all like one great big matrix of information and of events that tie together with something that comes later and so forth. And I kind of have a pretty good idea, at least in my mind, of how this stuff sort of all fits together. But the one thing that I want to learn more about, and I think I'm going to in the next couple of years, is I want to learn more about the Native American angle. How do they fit into this? I mean, I know in general how they fit in, but I want to know some specifics. For example, there's no way in hell that the Templar party that carved and buried the runestone as a land claim would have gotten all the way to Minnesota unless the natives let them.
Right.
And
That's
so
a really good
what
point.
was that dynamic that was going on? And like I say, I have a general sense and idea of how that is. And this begs another question. If you're an archaeologist and you're telling me, well, that's impossible because we've never found any evidence of European contact. I go, well, let me ask you this. If the Templars had intermarried and aligned themselves with the natives, which they did, and they're camping and living together, what is it that you're going to find that's going to tell you that they're there?
Yeah, what are you expecting to see? Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, are they going to leave their swords laying around or their knives or their chainmail or I mean, give me a break.
Are they going to leave?
What are you going to find that's going to tell you whether they were there or not?
Are they going to leave carved in the side of the tree the Templars were here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and nobody can answer that question. Well, they would have left something. I'm like, what? And they can't tell me. And to say nothing of the fact that, the Vikings used to peck arrowheads and, they would kill animals and butcher them and cook them over a fire. I think the Indians did the same thing.
Yeah.
And, it's like what's going to be so drastically different? They're not going to build a stone fort if they're living with the natives. They're probably going to do it the native way.
Right.
And in fact, I know that on some of these Templar voyages, the ones that went back, some of the knights stayed and, quote, went native.
Went native. I like that.
Well, yeah, they did. That happened during settlement times, too.
So that begs the next question. So
right.
The Knights Templar, they got all the way to Minnesota. They did up the Kensington Runestone. Several of them died of something, right? I mean, we
don't know that.
Right.
No. Well, that's an assumption, and that
right.
may not be correct. All it says is 10 men red with blood and death.
Okay.
And that is how people during the plague people who were stricken with plague were often described. And you're talking right at the time of the plague.
Right. That's absolutely very
that's
true.
what I think it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the battle because they wouldn't have fought with the natives. They would have traveled with them.
But so I guess my next question is, how far west did they go?
Well, they went all over this continent.
I
don't know about the Kensington party, but the Templars were all over this continent. South America and Central America. They went anywhere they wanted. They went everywhere.
Well, because they had the maps.
They mapped the whole continent.
Right. They were expert seafarers, and they were able to go wherever they wanted.
Oh, and the navigation, they navigated using the stars, and you could do the same thing on land. It's easier. It's easier on land in some respects, but it's also easier on water because, you could navigate just following the stars. You just pick a latitude. If you know what latitude of your destination, you follow that latitude. When you hit land, you're there. You don't even need longitude.
And then, listen, one quick question, and then I want to talk about the new book, and I want to talk about the upcoming season.
Sure.
When I'm looking at your website, I'm gonna read this because I don't want the listeners to feel like I'm throwing you under the bus out of left field.
No, go ahead.
Here's what
did something stupid. I'll own up to it.
No, it talks about the author of the book, and one of the things it says in here is that you've been part of more than 7,000 investigations throughout the world, including the evaluation of the fire-damaged concrete at the Pentagon following the attacks of September 11th. So I got to ask, did you find anything there that, I mean, there's a lot of people that believe that there's conspiracies in 9/11, all of that. Did you find anything in your evaluation of that concrete that gave you any indication of anything other than the standard line that we've heard?
No. Okay. I found nothing. There was nothing going on at the Pentagon, as far as I know. I've seen the footage. It was a 757 that hit the plane, or that hit the building. And there are a lot of details that I know about what happened there that might answer some of those questions that people have about what happened at the Pentagon. I don't know what happened at the Twin Towers. There's been some interesting video that I've seen of building number 7 coming down like a controlled demolition. It sure looks suspicious to me. I don't know anything about that, but as far as I know, there's nothing fishy that happened at the Pentagon. And I'd tell you if I thought so.
I know. You know what? I believe you would, honestly. That's kind of why I brought it up. There's a lot of people who think a missile was involved, and that's one of the alternate theories we've heard about 9/11.
No. I've seen all the photos and, the landing gear and parts of the jet engine. I mean, the problem at the Pentagon was that people don't understand that when that plane went through, there was structural columns and beams that were steel reinforced, and after the first ring, none of those were destroyed. So basically, it just cut that plane up like a paper shredder. There was nothing left.
Right.
So people kept saying, well, where's all the wreckage? Where's the bodies? And they just don't understand.
Yeah. Well, it speaks to how that
2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, basically, they didn't find bodies; they found ash.
Well, jet fuel tends to burn a little warm.
Yeah, especially when it's confined in a building like that.
All right, let's talk really quick. So first off, let's touch on the upcoming season. Is there a premiere date set for the upcoming season of America on Earth?
November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving. I think it's again at 9 o'clock, right after our friends Ancient Aliens. And I have to say, I thought season 1 was really cool. I mean, it was the first season for everybody, so there were a few hiccups here and there. And one of the things that bugged me is they had a graphic that said, to become a Mason, you need to be invited. And that's not what I said. I said, to become a Mason, you have to ask. To be a member of a higher order, it's by invitation only, but not to become a Mason.
Want to be one, ask one.
There were a few hiccups along the way, but by and large, I thought it was great. I think this season's going to be even better.
Yeah, can you get Kevin? You're looking at the information?
I'm looking at the episode list from the first season.
Okay.
Do you want to give us any teasers of some things you've got coming up in the second season? Can you do that?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit. I mean, well, about we're going to do something that involves Kennewick Man.
Mm-hmm.
We investigate. We got a lot of tips the first season on the rock wall in Texas.
The rock wall in Texas.
There's a rock wall in
Texas. Rock wall in Texas. Oh yeah, just Google it. You'll get a million hits.
That's not something the Bush administration was putting up to keep illegal immigrants out, was it?
I can't say because it will ruin the episode.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay.
We're doing something on the Georgia Guidestones.
Nice.
We investigate the Salutran Clovis question.
Really? All about Clovis Man, huh?
Yep.
Nice.
And that's a great episode. It really is. You'll love it. We talk about, we investigate the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
We're the Vikings in North America.
Then you must, because you already brought up who did the Templars encounter when they got here. And if you're going to go into the Viking thing, you're probably going to talk about the red-headed white people that lived in, Eastern Canada, right?
Well, we don't. We're gonna. I think we are gonna do another season beyond this one.
Yay!
Really? So
we're scheduled to do
awesome.
it, and I can guarantee you we will investigate the Giants question again.
Nice.
Quite frankly, I don't think we did as good a job in that episode in the first season. I think we can do a much better job.
Yeah, just tip of the iceberg is all you've hit on that one, right?
Yeah. There's some behind the scenes stuff that I probably shouldn't talk about that happened there. But like I said, I think we can do a better job with the Giants than we did on that one. There was some fun stuff in that episode, but Well, let's just say it wasn't my favorite.
I understand that one. So
the day after Thanksgiving, the new season debuts, and it sounds like another season after that is kind of already on task. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, man. This is really a thrill to be able to do this. I mean, I never dreamed, I never planned or tried to do this. Some people actually think I'm an actor, for crying out loud. I just laugh when I hear that, but it's just this wonderful opportunity that I'm fortunate to have, but I also feel like I need to take advantage and really work hard to get this stuff out there to a public that doesn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they hear about these things, they're like, how come I didn't know about that? Well, that's a good question.
Yep.
Why didn't they know about it? And the response has been really favorable. People seem to like the show, and so I'm going to ride that pony as long as it wants to ride, and I'm just having a great time, and I hope people keep watching, and I appreciate the people that have.
Absolutely. And Scott, I will tell you this, from getting a chance to speak with you this evening, following a lot of the stuff that you've done. I mean, to me, it seems like you certainly have the heart of a Templar, man. It's like, what is a man that does? I mean, in all seriousness, who is a man that doesn't leave the world a better place? And it seems
you know what,
that's what you're doing.
You said something I think is very important, and I mean this when I say this. It's very rare in life that you have an opportunity to be part of something that's bigger than yourself, and it's what you do with it. And all I can say is I'm trying hard while I have this opportunity. And as far as the heart of a Templar, I can tell you that I played 4 years of college football, I played 4 years of minor league football, and I was a linebacker. So anybody that wants to go, bring it.
And then,
I may not win, but I'll die trying.
There you go.
And really quickly, before we get to the top of the hour, give us one more plug for the book, man.
Okay. The new book is called Akhenaten to the Founding Fathers, The Mysteries of the Hooked X, and it's the follow-up to my previous book, which was The Hooked X, Key to the Secret History of North America, which was the follow-up to the Kensington Runestone, Compelling New Evidence. And if you're interested in learning more, go to my website, www.hookedx, just the way it sounds, HOOKEDX.com.
That's excellent. And we're sitting here looking at it all. We're going to put the links up on our website. And Scott, we want to issue you an invitation that if you actually get back out here to the Puget Sound region, because we were on this little peninsula between the Olympic Peninsula and Seattle, an hour ferry boat ride from Seattle.
Okay.
Just let us know. You come out, we'll treat you, we'll have a good time. And
it sounds great. I used to live in Mercer Island.
Did you?
Really? Oh.
My dad was a pilot for Northwest Airlines. I lived there back in the 60s when I was a little kid. And then again, we lived there twice, early and late 60s when I was just a little kid in second grade.
Yeah, you may know where Bremerton is at. Our studio is here in Bremerton, where the naval.
I know the town, but it's been a long time.
Oh, it's changed. Yeah, it's changed.
A long time. But I appreciate the invitation, guys, and you never know. Next time I'm out there, I'll give you a buzz.
Please do. And Scotty, I hope you've enjoyed this half as much as we have, man. It's been an honor having you on, and we'd like to stay in touch and get you on again sometime. I think that we could do. I mean, literally, we could talk about this for an hour every day for a year, and I don't even touch on
I'm not short of words, so I love to talk about it. It's a lot of fun, and it's important stuff. It's fun stuff. So, let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you very much,
There
Scott.
he is, Scott Walter, again, the host of America Unearthed. You can catch it on H2, premiering with season number 2 the day after Thanksgiving. You can also pick up the new book. Hold on, I'm going to try it. Ready? Akhenaten to the Founding Fathers, The Mysteries of the Hooked X.
Well done.
You can pick it up at HookedX, HOOKED, the letter X.com. Scott, man, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, there goes Scott again.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, again, check out season 2, premiering on H2. Check your local cable company directories. I know Comcast has got it because that's how I'm watching it. But again,
I've got it on Wave Cable.
Wave Cable's
channel
got
201. And but they've been actually showing America.
It's like 277 or something like that on Comcast, or I don't know, but you can find it.
And they've been showing America Unearthed on the History Channel, too. So it's and because see, H2 is not high def. So so it's really cool as they've been showing it in high def. And I've just set my...
I've been working at the bar. Here's what I love. I love working at the bar and then coming home after the bar closes.
Yep.
And then I'm not ready for bed.
Yep.
And that's the perfect time to watch stuff. What I get lucky sometimes, and I get shows like this on H2 or on History Channel, so it's great. But again, thanks to Scott, man. I'm just going to say this. I liked him on the show. I like him even more now. Just really forthcoming, really interesting to talk to. Great job for Des getting Scott on. Thanks again, Des. You're phenomenal. I won't hit on you for the next 5 minutes.
Very
Top of the hour news. Yeah. And we'll have to bring him on again. I think that was great. Top of the hour news is next. We'll touch on some other issues after that. I'll already know we're back.
St. Paul, the voice of reason, Canada, Lewis Cannon. Goodbye.
Outlaw.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Jim Hawk. Former National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden, who has admitted to leaking classified NSA documents, is talking about clemency when his 1 year of asylum expires in Russia. But the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Republican Congressman Mike Rogers, says Snowden should come back to the U.S. and face justice.
I wouldn't do that. He needs to come back and own up. We can have those conversations if he believes there's vulnerabilities in the systems you'd like to disclose. You don't do it by committing a crime that actually puts soldiers' lives at risk in places like Afghanistan. You just don't do that.
Rogers spoke on CBS's Face the Nation. White House advisor Dan Pfeiffer told ABC there haven't been any discussions about clemency for Snowden. Even though she hasn't made a formal announcement about possibly running for president in 2016, Hillary Clinton has received a high-profile endorsement. NPR's Windsor Johnston reports.
With the next presidential election more than 2 years away, Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer of New York is already endorsing his former Senate colleague for the top job at the White House. Speaking at a Democratic Party dinner this weekend, he said it was Hillary's time. The former First Lady, U.S. Senator, and Secretary of State would be the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination if she decides to run. Other potential Democratic presidential candidates include Vice President Joe Biden, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley. Windsor Johnston, NPR News, Washington.
An Israeli drone has crashed inside the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military says it was a technical malfunction. A militant group inside Gaza says it brought the unmanned aircraft down. NPR's Emily Harris reports.
The Israeli military uses drones for detailed surveillance of the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian territory along the Mediterranean between Israel and Egypt. The type of drone that crashed, a Skylark, looks like a giant toy airplane. The military says it crashed in the northern end of Gaza due to a technical malfunction, but offered no other details. Inside Gaza, the militant group Al-Qassam said on local television that it took the drone down. Israeli drones have crashed in the past, including at least twice in Gaza, according to past media reports, since Israel pulled settlers and soldiers out of the territory in 2005. After one crash in 2010, Israeli soldiers entered Gaza and collected the drone's remains. Emily Harris, NPR News, Jerusalem.
Egyptian authorities have moved Monday's trial of the ousted Islamist president to a new location in Cairo, possibly aimed at thwarting his rallies. Facing charges of incitement of violence with 14 others in connection to clashes last December, Mohamed Morsi has been held at an undisclosed location since his July 3rd overthrow by the military. The trial will be his first public appearance since then. You're listening to NPR News in Washington. The New York City Marathon went off without incident this morning. From member station WNYC, Mark Garber reports 2 Kenyans are the winners.
Jeffrey Mutai successfully defended his marathon title, and Priska Jeptu rallied to win the women's race. Mutai's time of 2 hours, 8 minutes, 24 seconds is well off his record-setting mark of 2:05:06, set in nearly perfect conditions the last time the marathon was held in 2011. Jeptu trailed Buzanesh Diba by nearly 3.5 minutes at the halfway point, finally passing Diba with just more than 2 miles to go. The race was canceled last year because of the destruction of Superstorm Sandy, and security was heightened to unprecedented levels in the wake of the bombings at the Boston Marathon in April. For NPR News, I'm Mark Garber in New York.
Residents of Mexico's storm-weary Pacific coast are preparing for the possibility of heavy rains with the arrival of fast-moving tropical storm Sonia. It's projected to hit the mainland by early Monday. The storm, with maximum sustained winds of 45 miles an hour, is centered about 95 miles south of the tip of Baja California. 9 skydivers and 2 pilots have escaped a harrowing mid-air collision, all without serious injuries. The 2 planes were flying in tandem formation Saturday evening in Wisconsin when they collided, shearing off the wing of one plane and sending up a fireball. The skydivers were all able to jump clear of the debris. The pilot of one plane landed safely, the other ejected using an emergency parachute. At the movies, the sci-fi fantasy Ender's Game battled to the top of box office charts, defeating senior citizen buddy comedy Las Vegas and animated Turkey Tail Freebirds, both also debuting this weekend. I'm Jim Hawk, NPR News in Washington.
Support for
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Coinforce.com is your headquarters for superior quality challenge coins, proudly serving military and non-military customers worldwide. Located near the main gate of McCord Air Force Base and close to Fort Lewis, Coinforce.com is owned and operated by retired military veterans. Coinforce.com understands your needs and are proud to continue serving the military community in our own special way. For an undisputed best value, extreme quality, and superior customer service, when you're looking for the world's largest selection of challenge coins, visit Coinforce.com, owned and operated by retired military veterans.
Hey, sports fans, have you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more? It's ISPNSports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNSports.com.
In times of tyranny and injustice, when law oppresses the people, the outlaw takes his place in history.
Are you ready? This could be the greatest night of our lives.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
So there's Outlaw Radio Network, by the way, St. Paul, the voice of reason.
K-Dog, the loose cannon.
There are weeks I feel like we become stagnant in how we are moving forward as a show, and then there are weeks I feel like we just continue to grow. And lately we've been riding this wave where I feel like we just continue to grow.
They're just rocking it.
Yeah, between the Todd Best, Patty Lynn thing from a couple weeks ago, Travis Couture on earlier because they came to us, having our last guest on, Scott Walter from the History Channel. I love having guests on like that, and I love our listeners, honestly, because it's the listeners that make this stuff happen. So thanks to the people at home that support the show and have for the last 5 years.
5 years. 5 years, brother.
Can you believe that? Almost it'll be 5 years.
5 years and 11+ million hits.
5 years in April,
which is more than Barack Obama's website has.
Well, only because their website can't handle the flow.
Listen. Can I just say this? Because Numbnuts over here just walked into the studio, but he's not in here yet.
Yeah.
And now, last week, he was on the verge of pure suicide. And tonight, his team manages to eke out a win against a horrible team, like ours did.
Yeah.
And tonight, he's actually wearing his Dallas Cowboys jersey. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Colors. I got the Seahawk beanie on.
No, and what I was going to point out is that is not a fair weather fan. That is a dyed-in-the-wool, true fan, and I give him some serious props.
Which in most circles would mean he should seek electroshock therapy.
No, I will not knock on him at all anymore for being
I will.
a fan.
He's a Cowboy fan.
But that's on you.
They deserve to be pummeled about
I'm
the head
simply
and chest.
saying that Trojo is over in the production room, and he's wearing his Dallas Cowboys jersey with pride. I'm not sure he would have been wearing it had they not scored that touchdown with 30-some seconds to go, but,
Aikman.
Yeah.
I thought he said he always picked the black quarterback.
Except Aikman.
That's what he said. Hey,
he
really
said, when
quickly,
in doubt, pick the black quarterback.
Strip. I'm not going to ask you to give me a lot of details, but will Adrian be here for picks tonight? He will not be here for picks tonight? Okay.
So,
well, that's another week that he can't come in last place. He's not done very well.
So I would just like to point out that in our interview with Scott, how cool was it for you to hear that one of his biggest desires, one of the things that he wants to accomplish, is to get closer to Native peoples being as, and now he didn't know you're Native. He has no idea.
He didn't have an idea.
He has no idea. And yet, he's out there saying, hey, listen, this is a goal of mine. This is what I want to do. And, of course, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. He believes that they have a lot more information to provide to answer questions.
Do you think there's some truth to that? I mean, I know you're not.
I don't know. I mean, let me answer that.
Yeah.
Do I believe that any Templars that were here, any Vikings that were here, any non-indigenous peoples that were here would have had to have interacted with the Native American population in some way, shape, or form, whether it be friendly or hostile? I absolutely agree. But I don't know what knowledge the current day tribes have to provide.
They have oral history telling techniques, right? So they pass everything down.
But again, I don't. There's so much.
They probably wouldn't
was
call
lost.
them Templars, but yeah, you're right. So much was lost.
So much was lost between the I'm going to irritate people now. Between the raping and pillaging of the Native American people from the oppressive government at the time, the relocation, the death of elders because of forced relocation,
food, famine, disease,
the Trail of Tears, the where they relocated them to in most cases was places that white people didn't want to live, so they put the natives there knowing that they couldn't farm and it was going to lead to the destruction of the people anyway. I mean, there's so many holes now in that oral history that I just don't know how much is there. And listen, when I was in youth group in high school, we'd play a game called telephone. You ever play telephone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you whisper something in somebody's ear, and it goes around the circle, and by the time it's gone through 30 people, it comes back to you, and the story's completely jacked.
That's right, yep.
I don't know how viable the stories can be at this point. The other question is we know that there are Native American tribes that ceased to exist even before the white man showed up because Native Americans wiped each other out.
Right.
And they indoctrinated each other, and they came together like that. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how much information the tribes have to give him. And I got to take a call. I have an urgent call coming through. Can you take this just for a second? Hold on.
So anyway, I just again wanted to thank Scott Walter and tell him what an amazing interview that was. It was a lot of fun. I got a chance to learn a lot. It was cool to have him drop some stuff. What are you looking at me like that for, Caleb? Well, don't look at him. He's got an emergency phone call. It's all right.
Get off my ass.
Give him a minute. Yeah, he never does it. Get off his butt. It's a big butt. Let him do it. Come on, intro. Jeez, come on. You're okay. Come on, intro. Come on and sit down. You want to sit in Kevin's chair? He may not be back anytime soon. Are you eating a lollipop, are you?
Absolutely.
That's all right. That's all right. So, NFL today, brother. What did you think of it? That is some Sunni Muslim stuff right there, wasn't it? I mean, I my power was out, so the only way that I could follow my Seahawks game was to tune into mynorthwest.com and get every 30 seconds it would give me whatever the last play was that was run. And do you know what it's like when you're listening and watching you don't know what's going on with your team. You got no radio, you got nothing. You don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden you just see this touchdown the other team, touchdown the other team, touchdown the other team, and you're going, "What? The other team sucks. My team's losing 21-0."
I can't hear a damn thing.
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Anyway.
There you go. Is that better?
Well, no, my headphones aren't working, but that's okay.
Well, you can hear me, brother. It's all good.
I can hear you standing
right
here. Hi, by the way. Yes,
hey,
I was watching the football games all day today, and I got to tell you, it was some pretty interesting games.
The Jets.
The Jets.
What the hell?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jets, by the way, for pissing New Orleans off right before my Cowboys got to go play them next week. Thank you. in New Orleans, by the way. Anyway, yeah, so it was some really, really interesting football games today. But I tell you what, the invincibility of the Safeco Field might have gotten questioned today.
Yeah, no, it didn't. They won.
No, they won, but
it's not Safeco. That's where the Mariners play baseball.
You're right.
There's no invincibility there.
You're right. Safeco. Wow. Somebody smack me. Go ahead. Smack
No,
me.
it's okay because
Anyway,
you still want to have sex with Maggie Simpson. So
you know what, man? You and I
we're gonna play that promo tonight too.
We gonna box.
Have you heard that promo?
We're gonna
have
box.
you heard that promo?
Of course, I've heard that promo, and
just
I've said I have strictly forbidden that thing to be played. Can't play it.
It's getting played. It's a promo.
Can't play it. Don is. Looks like we got a phone call.
What?
Looks like we got a phone call.
Okay, bring him on.
Bring him on. I can't hear.
Don, brother, how you doing?
What's happening, man?
What's happening? Oh, not a lot. How's the weather out there?
No, it's fine. The weather's fine. A hell of a lot better than it was yesterday, and I didn't have my power blow out like you did.
Oh man, I got my power back about 2 hours before showtime tonight. It was not.
You didn't lose all your groceries or nothing, did you?
Actually,
I don't mean the ones in your pants. I'm talking about your freezer.
Right. No, I actually grabbed some. Believe it or not, I had some, Friday. I started marinating some chicken. I was going to cook it Saturday with no power. I was like, screw it. I didn't cook it, so I ended up cooking it up tonight, and it was great. It was wonderful.
Oh, okay. Right on.
But,
right on.
All right.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
it wasn't too bad.
That food poisoning, takes about a full day to set in, so you better make sure you're feeling all right now. I don't want you getting sick now.
Yeah,
You didn't bring
you guys had a real mix for a show tonight. That was good. I didn't get to hear everything, but you had the guy running for office on there, and then you had the dude from what was it, the History Channel?
Yep,
with,
History Channel, America
Uncovered or Unburied. What was it called? the show?
America Unearthed. Yep, Scott Walter, forensic
Unearthed.
geologist.
There we go. Yeah, I'm up to check that out. He was interesting.
Yeah, really cool show.
I just wanted to say something about sports for a change, man, instead of politics.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even though, I know you want to toss my name in the Obama mix because you got some kind of man crush going there. But, yeah.
Yes, Don, it's true. I have a man crush on you. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Well, I just got to say, a couple of weeks ago, I was saying that the Hawks ought to be called the Heart Attack Hawks or whatever because these friggin' games. But
I know.
I think now, and correct me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think this name would offend any Native Americans, but I think we ought to rename them the Seattle Drama Hawks.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
I think that would be an apropos nickname, my friend.
Listen, hold on. You guys are all missing the boat. They're 8-1. They're 8-1.
Well,
they're offensive. Hold on. Listen. They're 8-1.
Let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
I'm sure you've played some ball.
Kevin?
No.
Yes, I did play ball. You little bastard. I did play ball.
We're not talking
Paul.
about last night.
Shut up. Listen, they're 8-1. Their offensive line is decimated by injuries. They lost their speed threat receiver. I'm just listen. I'm not making excuses for how bad they played the last couple weeks, other than to say they've got some injury issues they've got to work through, and they're going to get all these guys back, and they're going to be fine.
Okay, but wait a second. I just want to talk about your opinion on that one play. Fourth quarter, you're on your first and goal on the 3-yard line, and you're going to throw a pass.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the play call. I was watching the game with Mikey Malone at my house, and we both looked at each other when they went up to the line, and we both said the same thing: feed the beast. And the first thing they do is they don't feed the beast, and we looked at each other like, "You've got to be freaking kidding me." I don't know why, other than the fact that, listen, everybody in the world was thinking they were going to feed the beast. Mm-hmm. So maybe they were trying to get cute and catch people off guard. It was still a stupid play call, but I thought it was dumb.
Well, that's 2 weeks in a row where they just friggin' came off, by the skin of their chins, and I know we got injuries, blah blah blah, but damn, man, we gotta get it together better than that.
I agree.
And that was against teams that's not even
get it together.
subpar. Not even a mediocre team that they barely beat.
Well, first of all, every team is full of professionals. And I will say this for Tampa Bay. They were like a cat backed into a corner tonight. I mean, look at that onside kick attempt, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying they had nothing to lose.
No, they have nothing to lose.
They left it all out on the line, and can we be honest? They didn't. I mean, they only put one real drive together. The others touchdowns were from Seattle turnovers.
Well,
Seattle had 3.
Hey, but that's what drive games. You
It
win or
is.
lose by turnovers.
It is, and that's why I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm just not going to judge on the game. But you are right, Don. They are the Seattle heart attacks right now.
In the end. What did it say?
Tomahawks.
Win ugly.
Tomahawks. There you go.
Win ugly. A win is a win.
All right, guys. I'll let you go. Good show tonight.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, Don, can I ask you a question before you go?
Yeah.
Did you listen to the interview with Scott Walters last hour?
I got to listen to about 30% of it, probably. I was multitasking.
Hey, will you do me a favor?
You know her, don't you? Multitask.
Yeah, I do know her well.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, she gets around.
Wow.
Listen, if you get a chance, go back and listen to the podcast of that hour, and then just in private, let me know what you think. I'm always curious because I think you're a pretty reasonable guy. You're on the left like me. You and I know how this country really works. We know how the truth really is. We don't buy into
you're really trying to set my ass up, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But you and I are intelligent individuals. We don't buy into the BS mantra that people like Paul believe in, the conservative ideals, and Obamacare is going to kill the world. But this guy was talking about.
Oh my
this
God,
guy was talking
you're
about.
just asking for a fight. Okay.
But I just want to know what because he was talking about like the Templars and alternative history and stuff, and I just want to. I'm curious your opinion.
That part there, I would definitely need to do some reading up on because I'm not really up on all that. Sounds like Paul's got some background with it, but I'll do like you say. I'll listen to it when I got a little bit of downtime. He was on for like an hour there, wasn't he? From 8 till 9 after you're a politician.
Yeah, we had him the whole time. Yeah, we had him the whole hour.
Yeah, I'll listen to it. Yeah, and I'll give you my take on it. And of course, as usual, the disclaimer with my take is that my take and 25 cents will make an old phone booth work. So that's what that's worth.
All right, man. Hey, we love you. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
All right, there goes. What's he going by tonight?
It was Don.
Okay, I don't know if it's ever Don or Klaatu. I don't know what he's going by.
It's always Don. Klaatu is kind of our pet name for him. Right?
I'm just saying.
I still like to know how you got Klaatu. Yep. What that?
Well, Klaatu isn't that from a movie?
Klaatu Barado Nikto, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Okay, then.
Do you remember that?
Klaatu
The original?
Barado Nikto.
From the 1950s? I think it was the 50s. Could have been the 40s, but I think it was the 50s.
Klaatu Barado Nikto. Yeah.
From the original movie.
Yeah, from the original. And the Klaatu Barado Nikto was the words that the alien was able to use to... It was like the code word that he was able to use to turn his robot off, to keep his robot from basically destroying everything.
That's right. I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So,
robot.
Listen, here's the deal. Is Strip in there, Desi? No, he's upstairs. Okay.
All right. Well, then the big guys in the masks are going to have to stand out there with
you guys got to wait for now. You guys just got to chill for the moment.
She looks remotely uncomfortable right now.
She does.
In fact, she looks
like this is pretty familiar to her to have a bunch of guys in masks
aware that
around
they was
her.
going to be coming in tonight?
Yeah, I knew.
I saw him. I saw him the other day, and I was like, dude, y'all should just come in and bombard the show.
He just didn't tell anybody else.
On purpose.
Right.
No,
yes,
I knew. I knew, but I was told it was a surprise. I was leaving it alone.
That's right.
K-Dog knows everything, man. K-Dog is aware of everything.
Last time they were in here, they beat me up.
That's right.
Amen. Amen. And by the way, the ref didn't see it. All right.
Didn't see it, didn't call it.
Here's. I want to touch on one thing really quick as we're waiting for Strip to get in. I want to go back to news just for a second.
Yeah.
And since Tro is here, I do want to touch on this really quick.
You gotta be careful how you look at Tro and say, "I want to touch this."
No,
real quick.
I want to get your opinion on something.
Okay.
We had.
He would like you to opine.
What?
Opine, opinion.
I don't know what opine means, so whatever.
All right.
So here's the deal. You guys, I know that Paul's aware because we talked about this earlier, but But Trojo, you're aware of what happened at LAX on Friday. The guy goes in, kills a TSA officer, injures several other people.
And my question while that was going down is, how does something like this happen?
It's like when a hot chick marries a fat, ugly dude. How'd that happen?
Let me just say this. And it's a fair response.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard a lot of people, some people on both MSNBC and on Fox and on CNN, all echoing the same thing. And their question was, how do we make our airports safer? Blah, 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 blah. Okay?
Right.
Here's my response. The airports are safe, you idiot morons. They didn't get the gun past security.
Right. No, it didn't get the gun past security.
This did exactly what they wanted it to do. Now, I feel bad for the TSA agents that got shot, and I feel really bad for the guy that died. That's really, really sad.
Yep.
But the question is not on the safety and security of our airports,
Right.
because the guy didn't get the gun past TSA. I bring this up because I want to pose one quick question, as we've only got a couple of minutes. The TSA agents that are staffed in the airports are not armed.
No, they're not.
Does anybody think they should be? What good is? Hold on. I'm not talking about the current TSA people, because obviously, if you were going to arm them,
you don't even need a high school education to be in that job.
But hold on. I'm not talking about the people that are currently in the job, because if you're going to arm them, you're going to increase the qualifications to hold the position.
Of course.
But what good does it do to have security in an airport if you're not going to arm security in the airport?
Because there is armed security in the airport.
There is armed security in the
By
airport.
the
TSA.
By the time armed security responded to this guy, he had already shot at people, killed a TSA agent, wounded other people, and made it back to the escalator. That is not a response.
That took a matter of minutes.
Minutes, though.
Yeah.
But that's my point. Listen, you're in a high target area with basically ballless mall cops.
It just goes back. Okay, as a guy who worked in some serious security, I can tell you this: no matter what they do, they cannot 100% secure the place, no matter what.
I would agree with that.
It's just not possible, especially in a big, high traffic area like that, where
I would agree with that.
have thousands and upon thousands of people passing through those doors all day long, unless you're willing to stop each and every individual before they actually walk in the doors and do a wand check.
But that's not my question.
I mean,
that's not my question, though. My question is, what good is having security in the airport, which you know is a high target area that a terrorist is going to want to hit, that Al Qaeda is going to want to take out, that homegrown terrorist groups are going to look at and see hundreds of people standing in lines, not moving anywhere, perfect for a bomb. You've already established now that you can get a gun in the waiting area before security. Okay? There's nothing that stops you from getting a briefcase bomb, something in there. What good is it to not have armed TSA in the entry points if it's going to take minutes for a response from the actual airport security?
The reality is, even if they were armed, they may have been able to stop the guy before he shot as many people as he did.
Yeah.
But there's still no way. They still would not have been able to stop the attempt.
No, they wouldn't have been able to stop the attempt, and you're absolutely correct. And Paul, I don't know what you think about this, but my thought is, okay, he walked up, pulled out the rifle, point blank, shot the TSA guy in the face. That dude's dead no matter what.
Right, no matter
what.
But
before he can let off more than another round or two, he'd be down. I mean, that's my thought. I mean.
It is again.
I might be wrong, because the guy that walked into the coffee shop in Lacey that killed the 4 cops.
Yeah. He just.
But they were armed, and he was able to get 4 shots off with the cops in it. But am I wrong, Paul, to think that they should be armed? I mean, again, not the current crop of dimwits we have, because those are guys that could be working McDonald's right now. But if we raise the level of requirements to work TSA, does it make sense to arm them? Isn't this a soft underbelly of our security?
No, it's not.
You don't think so?
No. Listen, first of all, there's already too many problems with the TSA, because you're hiring unskilled labor to do a job that's people's security rests on. Every airport has armed security.
Right.
And you just have to recognize, you have a choice, okay? You can live in a place like Israel, okay? If that's what you want, we can make that happen, brother. Where every time you walk around every goddamn corner, there's a dude with an M16. Is that what you want?
No.
Well, then you need to stop with this whole, what can we do to make our airports safer? Because it's one or the other. You're there. You're at max protect right now.
No, I
okay.
think- right.
You want to go to the next level? The next level is armed guys on every goddamn corner.
Yeah, I mean, and again,
That's it.
That's
Because-
exactly what I said.
But I'm just well, what good is security if they're unarmed? Because if you're unarmed, how are you going to go up against somebody that's armed? It's like the argument of Second Amendment rights, right? The ability to have a gun in your home to protect
Because,
yourself and your
again-
family. If you don't have a gun, the bad guy's going to have a gun, and you're fucked.
Again, I don't know how to really how to express this to you in anything other than English when I say to you, Kevin,
Yes.
brother, you have TSA people who are unskilled labor hired to provide that job. Okay? Are you comfortable with the idea of unskilled labor?
No. And again, what I'm saying is,
because
do we undo or revamp the entire theory of the TSA?
No, because
take them out of unskilled labor and maybe incorporate them into airport security.
There's too many
or
TSA
federal-
guys at every airport.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're talking a huge workforce.
I don't know, man.
You're going to put all those people out of work?
Yeah, if it's what's necessary for
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. Listen, 9/11, the security precautions we took after 9/11 weren't necessary until 19 jack wagons flew airplanes into buildings, and then everything changed. And none of this will be necessary.
What you're talking about is
until
completely reactionary.
until terrorists walk into an airport with guns and start shooting at people.
Completely reactionary. If we begin to give up our civil liberties and our rights, we deserve neither. You
Is that giving up civil liberties? If we say we're going to arm our
Yeah.
security forces in an airport, is
Yeah.
that giving up a civil?
Do you
liberty?
want to walk through an airport with your daughter where there's an armed guard every 10 feet? That's what I'm asking you. Because if that's what you want, then make the sales pitch for that.
Okay.
Because I'm not comfortable.
I
with
guess
that.
I'm asking what good is security that isn't armed? What is
unarmed
TSA going to do?
Well, why don't you ask that of Code Pink? Because I'm the wrong person to ask
Yeah,
that.
fair enough.
I'm all for armed security. I'm not all for arming McDonald's workers. Okay,
Well, I'm not either.
I'm not for taking unskilled labor off the streets with no qualifications and giving them guns. That does not solve the problem.
Okay. No. And again, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, we're going up against break. So whenever Strip wants to lead in a bump, I'm not suggesting we arm the dimwits that have the job. You'd have to revamp the entire hiring process and all of
Yes,
that.
I reiterate. Yes,
Maybe
what
you
you're-
make
that's
them
what
all
you're-
under federal control. I don't know, but I don't understand what good it is to have unarmed security when the bad guys are going to be armed, and they're probably going to be armed better than you anyway. And if your goal is to protect the population, and you're going to have 1,000 people in SeaTac down that strip of people waiting for airplanes on Thanksgiving Day, that's a target-rich environment with minimal security at best.
Well, yep. But guess what? He only got one, and it was a security guy who was
Yeah.
trying to stop him.
Well, that's all he
So
targeted.
guess what? They did their job.
Shut your mouth. It's break. We have special guests in studio
Okay.
next. This is going to
Okay.
be fun. Stay tuned.
Not
Outlaw
for me.
Radio Network.
Next.
Get outlawed.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Coinforce.com is your headquarters for superior quality challenge coins, proudly serving military and non-military customers worldwide. Located near the main gate of McCord Air Force Base and close to Fort Lewis, Coinforce.com is owned and operated by retired military veterans. Coinforce.com understands your needs and are proud to continue serving the military community in our own special way. For an undisputed best value, extreme quality, and superior customer service, when you're looking for the world's largest selection of challenge coins, visit Coinforce.com, owned and operated by retired military veterans.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals, or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
Hey, sports fans, have you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more? It's ISBNsports.com, Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISBN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISBNsports.com.
All right, it's the Outlaw Radio Network. Moving into the bottom of the third hour, 9:35. Thanks for checking out the show.
If you touch my leg again, I swear to all that is holy.
Oh, Lord. It's already going to turn into a match.
I'll go Randy Savage on you.
All right, Randy Savage. Hey, remember me to tell you about the game I picked up a couple days ago, by the way. All right, so joining us in studio, again, it's St. Paul, the voice of reason.
K-Dog, the loose cannon.
And I didn't get your guys' wrestling names, so I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, and then we'll let Andy Mack talk about himself in a moment as well. But first, let's let the guys in their really cool Halloween costumes introduce themselves. We'll start with the dude on my left over here in the blue.
All right, my name is Prime.
Prime.
For SCW Suquamish.
Grab the microphone like you want to
put it right up to your mouth.
There you go.
Prime for Suquamish Championship Wrestling, also known as SCW.
And I go by Granite.
Granite.
Granite, like the
Granite.
Rock.
Like the Rock.
Like the Rock, but not the Rock.
You used to have a World of
But
Warcraft
not the
character
Rock. I'm not
named
the
Granite
champ.
Slab.
I don't have the people's elbow.
Yeah. All right. So and then Andy. Now you're not a wrestler.
No, I'm not a wrestler.
Put that right up to your mouth, man. That people can't hear.
I'm
There you
actually
go.
starting to do a little bit of cornerman work for my buddy Ron Sullivan, which goes by Von Hess. Pretty intense character. He's kicking ass over there at SCW, which is their wrestling outfit over there. I'm a local rapper. I've been doing music around 10 years now. I got a few albums out. Do lots of shows out here, and it's just nice to meet some more people out in the area and see what you guys are up to.
And you do one of the tracks for one of the guys that are wrestling, right?
Yeah, we've kind of adopted a song that I got here. It's with me today. It's called "Possessed by Christ." It's a little bit intense, more of kind of like a metal meets hip hop kind of feeling. And Ron really liked it, so we decided that we'd do something together, and I'd perform that song as many times as I can while he's having a live event and get a little notoriety in his area, and same with him over in my area. So
gotcha. Nice. All right.
Working out
Well,
good.
you brought it with you tonight?
Yeah, I got my unreleased album with me pretty much tonight called The Toxic Offender, Talk TALK sick, which would be my first full-length solo. And I got it here. I got some songs here today. One
Good,
that
they
I
can
wrote.
play one.
Yeah,
If it's in the right format and
Yeah,
everything.
it's in the right format. We queued it.
He's already got it.
So whenever
Oh,
you guys
wow,
feel
look
like
at that.
that'd be cool.
That's cool.
And Trojo's joining us, by the way. Trojo is in production, so
Yeah.
if he's paying attention, which he's not. But
So no offense, but what are you guys doing here tonight?
What are we doing here tonight? We are here to promote our next event, which is November 30th.
Okay.
Yeah. At the Suquamish Tribal Center, a.k.a. Gymnasium. And it's going to be a really good show. We have some great matches lined up. And we got another show December 14th that is going to be for the donations for the food bank out in North Kitsap, the North Kitsap Food Line.
Okay.
And but we'd like you guys to show up. Yeah, that one's a free show. It's all donations for the food banks.
The one December 14th.
December 14th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So you're asking us to show up when?
I am asking you to show up for both if you can.
Okay.
November 30th. We'd love you guys there. Get you out there and watch the show.
What time?
It starts at 6, so you guys would want to be out there early enough to do your thing.
Yeah, do our thing. Yeah.
We have a thing.
I guess
Yeah,
so.
you guys have a thing.
We have a thing. Go ahead. You were saying?
I saw him move his arm. I thought he wanted the microphone. So I was just trying to stay on top of it.
So wait, are you guys are you two wrestling at the event on November 30th? Are you guys on the card?
We have a part.
You have a part.
And we're not at liberty to say what it is, but we've been involved.
You have a plan.
We have a plan.
We have a plan.
You have a plan. All right, we'll leave it at that. So
wait a second, hold on, because you guys are stand up.
Well, now they're cut off a camera because the camera doesn't
I know.
go that high.
I know that was the point.
That was the point.
Now sit down. Stand up.
The last time they were in studio, they beat the
You're
crap
gonna
out of you
overwork
with a
us, aren't
chair.
you?
Last time they were in here, somebody put me in a freaking figure 4 leg lock, and I don't.
That
let
was me.
I don't.
that's
I don't
right.
let that fly, man. That did not sit well with me.
That was outstanding, by the way.
That hurts. Hurts a
Yeah.
Do we got any footage of
hurts
that?
a man's ego. Right
Yeah.
Take a look at that.
He believed it was fake until it happened to him.
That's right.
And it wasn't fake no more.
Yeah.
Okay,
You see a grown man tap?
So nobody asked the question.
Which question? I was going to ask a question.
Are
though.
we heels or baby faces?
Well, no, I
Nobody
already
cares.
know. You guys are in masks.
Yeah,
You're
Masky
heels.
faces.
You're heels.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you. The reason I asked you to stand up is because you guys are not tiny.
No.
So what I was going to ask you to do when you stood up and then you sat down, the reason I was going to have you stand back up again, could you do that for me? Stand back up. Okay, thank you. And I know they're off camera, so shut up.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you guys measure in at? What's your size? What's your weight?
6'2".
Talking
With
to
the microphone.
Listeners can't hear you.
Man.
6'2", 290 pounds.
Okay. And
6'6", 305.
okay, now sit down.
6'6", 305. That's
Hey,
pretty close
I
to
just want to point out to
Taker,
everybody.
right?
See, I just want to point out to everybody they can be taught. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. 6'6", 305. Taker was like, what, 6'7", 3'0", 310? Something like Undertaker? You're about the same weight.
Undertaker was the man.
Is Undertaker 6'10"?
Listen,
Is it
listen.
that
I
high?
stood next to the Undertaker while prepping
Yeah,
one of his shows.
I remember.
That motherfucker is.
He's the baddest.
When he
Scared you.
sweats,
You
you,
wanted-
just disintegrate.
You
It's
about
just
peed
like
your pants.
I was just like, oh, dude,
just-
just like turned his head and sweat came on me, and I think that it's just like I want to melt away. And,
All about
and
peed his
like,
pants.
Oh, I was scared shitless, man.
Yes,
He was
were.
blushing at the same
You know,
time.
Mom got a
Yeah.
couple tombstones grown up. You know.
You said Obama's got a couple of tombstones.
No,
going
I
up?
didn't say Obama. Sure does. Let's not get on that.
I was like, yeah,
But,
that's probably true somewhere.
I'm saying Mom's probably caught a couple tombstones when you guys were growing up, huh? You know it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up, Mom.
Mom's tiny.
I don't think I'm cleaning my room, Ma.
So are you asking us to come out to the show? Do you want us to broadcast the show, just like set up camera systems and let it run? Or are you asking us to commentate?
I am asking you to come out and do what it is you do. We'd love to get you in there and commentating and you know, get the footage that you guys want to get. Or whatever you guys decide you want to do.
Yeah.
Now, we also have a phone
Gears are
number
working. Yeah,
that
gears are working.
he was talking about, Andy was talking about Ron Sullivan.
Yeah.
Well, he told me we could call him and get him on air.
Freeway call like we were in jail.
So
And-
if you guys want to do that, I do have a phone number.
You hear
let
three-way
me-
and think in jail. I hear three-way. I
Let me
think
make-
something completely different.
Let
But
me
it's
make
all right.
let me make
It's
this
all right.
let me make this clear.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know who Ron Sullivan is,
Hold on. Yes, let's make sure the guy in the mask makes everything clear.
for those of you who don't know who Ron Sullivan is, his uncle is Kevin Sullivan, ex-WCW Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Broke in with the Steiner brothers back in the early 90s.
Crazy
Tagged
Kevin
with One Man
Sullivan, yeah.
Gang. He shows
Yeah.
up to our shows too. So,
Does he really?
Yes, he does.
Ah, yeah.
So-
Kevin Sullivan was old school WCW,
And
too.
he still
was-
gets in the
yeah.
ring.
Does he still wrestle
Yes.
at this time? Does he really? You remember Kevin Sullivan, Paul?
So y'all mean to tell me, fellas, y'all mean to tell me that Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, is still around in this area? I
Yes.
thought he was dead, bro.
That is no.
Oh no, he's alive and well.
He's alive
he
and
comes
well.
over. He comes over and does shows with us out at the
Holy
Squamish Tribal Center.
cow! I remember back in WCW days when he had the now NWA days when he had the big fight with a lot of people don't remember that Chris Benoit was a part of the Four Horsemen and they had one hell of a fight.
Well, I don't know if you
Benoit
also
had a bit of a falling out.
I don't
yeah.
know if
They
you
had a
guys
big
also know
falling out.
this,
I was
but
being facetious. He
when
kind of killed himself.
Chris Benoit committed suicide and took his family with him.
Oh yeah,
That was Kevin Sullivan's ex-wife.
Really?
Yeah, oh, you didn't
Yes.
know that?
Oh,
That
yes.
we
Oh,
did
yeah.
not know.
Yeah, no, I knew that. That
Lady.
was
Oh
Sullivan's
no, that I
ex-wife, yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah.
We would like to send a
Holy
shout out
cow.
to one of our partners, Sign Guy, who's currently recovering from a very big facial injury at an event in Indiana.
He was in an over-the-top rope battle royal. He got thrown over the top. He got higher than he intended. He missed grabbing the rope. When he came down, he landed face first on the concrete. He has multiple skull fractures.
Ooh.
There might be tiny fractures, but in my eyes, a fracture's still a fracture.
Yep.
His one eye, he's got his whole side of his face is pretty much blackened and beaten.
And he was still fighting the EMTs to get back in the ring and get back at who did it to him.
Well, then one would certainly have to question the level of intelligence.
See,
that just shows his heart for the game.
He'd like another
absolutely.
figure four.
Hey, listen, I didn't question his heart, just his intelligence. Just saying.
So how long you guys been doing this? How long you guys been? Because I mean, I know the guys under the masks. I've known you guys for years. So how long have you guys been in the mask? How long have you guys been part of this? How long?
You ready to come out of the closet?
You got to talk in the mic, man.
The microphone.
This is a radio thing. This is.
Remember the whole
I figured Prime would speak up,
Remember
but it's been about a year and a half. The last time we made an appearance on this show, that jerk about took my head off.
Really?
I couldn't see straight for 3 days.
I
don't know
gave
if
him
you
a
guys remember
concussion.
that.
Well deserved.
He gave me a concussion from putting the show on here. When yeah.
I liked it. Right up until the part you did it to me.
That's okay. K-Dog's next.
Yeah,
and he needs to be, quite frankly, because he's a huge fan. He's a huge wrestling fan, and he's always talking smack about wrestling. And when I don't mean that in a bad way. And you know what? I think that I took one for the team. I took one for the show. I said, all right, show me. I don't think blah 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 blah. I promptly tapped out. Promptly. I think you need to experience it as well. I think it's paramount to the entertainment value of this show. And in fact, I think that because I did it, you need to suck it up. Walk your happy ass right over there in front of the camera.
See, let me put one on you. Come on, K-Dog.
Let me counter propose this really quick.
This is counter proposal.
He says this only because if you guys remember the last time you were here, I challenged him to a match. He pussed out, and now he wants you to handle his light work for him.
You didn't challenge me to a match. You challenged me to get in a ring with them.
No, I challenged you to a match, and now you want these guys to handle your heavy work for you. It's all right. It's what you conservatives do.
He did say it right. He did say heavy work.
It's what you conservatives
do. If
do.
you want me to get into step into a ring with you someday, I would be happy to do that.
Sign it up. I'm there.
You're a lying dog.
I will pummel you.
You're a lying dog.
I will pummel you.
Right now, Kevin. You know what Kevin is thinking right now. I'll tell you exactly what he's thinking right now. He's like, yeah, I'll do it because I know that shit's fake.
I will pummel you.
It's fake. I'll do it. That's exactly what he's thinking.
I'll put him in my figure four.
Yeah, he says somebody will write a script.
And Paul has to have his backup. Paul can't take me out by himself. It's all right. It's what conservatives do.
Wow.
All right. So let's cover this really quick. So
I feel like Michael
November
Cole.
30th. Shut up. November 30th.
Sure aren't
you guys
Jerry
are out
the
of
King.
What's that?
You said you feel like Michael Cole. I
Yeah.
said you sure in the hell ain't Jerry the King.
More like Fabulous Moolah, isn't he?
No,
Mae Young.
no, you're more like Mae Young over here.
He's the chicken that won't get up and let you put him in a figure four. Just saying.
No, his bones are too brittle. That's why I said he's like Mae Young.
Okay, so let's get back on task here really quick. So November 30th.
What task? I don't have a task. Go ahead.
November 30th.
At the Suquamish Tribal Center.
At the Suquamish Tribal Center, 6 o'clock start time.
Food drive.
And the food drive is December
14th.
14th.
Right. December
I'll tell you
14th.
what.
Tickets are $4.
$4. Let's do this. You guys coordinate directly with Kevin and Caleb because we need to make sure that if we're going to do a live show, that we've got the proper equipment set up and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Because we've moved, we've built a new studio since our last live remote, and we need to make sure before we commit to doing anything that we're going to be good to go on that level. Because now that we're here and we're in the studio, some of our equipment stuff has changed. The dynamics have changed, and so you guys work with Kevin. Make sure. I mean, if it's a go, I'm there. I will happily belittle and berate this man for hours during a wrestling match with glee and a smile on my face.
Yes.
Great.
Gladly.
That's exactly what we need.
Yep.
Do you know what a Texas cloverleaf is?
Do you know what a Texas cloverleaf is?
I see.
You didn't know what a dirty pirate was last
when
week.
he answers a question with a question, he has no idea.
Yeah, that's exactly true.
You're not going to be able to hang with me. It's okay. Have you guys been in the ring Have you guys had
Yes.
matches?
Yes.
Have you guys had a match?
Yes, we actually did
Have you guys
have
had belts? Have you guys had a belt yet?
We have
You don't
never
wanna
held
get
the
a belt?
belts, but we have been in the ring. Our match did end up in a double.
You got to go
DQ.
down. You got to go down so people can see
Oh,
you.
you like it when you like?
Let's go.
He likes you
People can
going
see
down
you.
on him.
See, I'm trying to keep the never mind.
My legs were falling asleep. I had to stand
I
up for a
know,
second.
I know. We'll make
But,
this quick.
Yeah, we actually got in the ring. It was a 3-on-2 tag match.
I bet.
Granite Prime, Randy Zellers versus Sam Sims and
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a 3-on-2. Both teams got disqualified. And our referee that night was Sign Guy, the guy that's laying right now in Indianapolis in a hospital.
Really?
What about that last match?
Hold on. Give him the mic so we can ask on the mic.
Oh, our last match, we actually got a brand new wrestler that just got signed to SCW. We got him disqualified our last show.
You got him disqualified? How'd you
We
do that?
jumped in the ring and beat the hell out of Von Hess.
No, wait a minute. Now. I don't remember it quite like that. I think Von Hess gave you guys. By the time you guys were done there, you guys had hot fire chests.
I have
from getting
footage.
chopped.
I have footage on my
Chopped.
phone of what happened.
I was there. I think I chased your homie out. Actually, I chased him off the ring, and I'm not even a wrestler, so you know.
So they came down and
So
interfered.
the non-wrestler
and
won
got
your
it
match
handed
for
to
you?
him?
I didn't win no.
So the
match, no,
CEO
but-
Sam
but Von Hess
Sims
definitely kicked some ass.
CEO Sam Sims came down there and attacked him from the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And he chased him out of the building.
Yeah, no problem either.
Right after he got out of the building, we ran in and we started to take out Mr. Hess.
Oh, I must have missed that because when I was in there, yeah, he was just chop, chop, chop.
That was the aftermath.
You got to talk into the microphone.
Yeah,
damn
talking
it.
to the
We
microphone.
did get a few forearms on him, and then he gave us a meeting of the minds and put us in the corners, pulled our shirts up, chopped the hell out of our chests. You could put my hand a foot away from my shirt, and you could feel the heat coming off of it. It was intense.
That's what,
But
that's what happens when a dude puts like
Prime,
like
but-
Tiger Balm on his hands and then slaps you.
But Prime's marks lasted for like 4 days on his chest. Mine went away. So he got spanked. I just got
Literally?
schooled.
So you guys going to get payback then? Is it the plan going to be?
We
payback
are
at
going to
some
get
point?
some payback
On Von Hess.
on Von Hess.
You heard it, bro. Going down.
Von Hess, we're coming for you.
Team Nasty.
Okay,
Is that
Von
what you
Hess.
guys go by? You guys a tag team? Or do
No,
you
we're not
wrestle
a tag
individually?
team. We're just,
Not
I
you.
think-
You're not the wrestling
no,
duo.
No, this guy. You talking
Yeah.
to mask face?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We are not an official tag team.
That's probably good.
What makes it official tag team? Is there like a contract you all sign, or
You have to say we're official, like in junior high when you're dating a girl.
you're like you're on Facebook
No,
official?
I
or
think
what's
it's
the
more or
deal?
less being signed to go out and do a match here and there together, as a tag team instead of just being
to
a
change
couple
your
of
Facebook
being
status?
just a couple of goons running out and breaking up a match.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, so right now you're just playing the goon role. You guys are
So
just
you're heels.
Kind of, sort of. We've
we're
actually
heels.
We've actually been called retards. We've been called everything else.
Securitards.
Securitards.
So you guys are more.
You're slapstick.
No, I wouldn't say that. You guys are more. You guys are more the heat. You guys are more picking up fan heat. That's
Yes.
really.
Yes.
You're almost for those who are watching wrestling now, almost Shield-esque.
That is correct.
You're
Pretty much.
basically
That
you're
is
basically
correct.
going in to
Yeah.
screw with people.
Only
at this point.
Shield hasn't
Let's put it
lost,
this way.
right?
Let's put it this
Shield
way.
has lost several times now.
Oh, have they?
Yes,
the
the
How long
Usos
it's
have
been.
beaten them
I'll
several
mention
times.
this. The Pain kids come to the shows, whoever these kids are. They come to the shows with signs saying how Granite and Prime sucks. We get right in their face, take their signs, rip them up, throw them back in their face, and the fans around the ring hate it.
Do they?
Yeah,
fans
they
hate us.
actually stand up
Kids.
for these kids.
I
These
think
kids
they're-
are
I
nothing
think-
but snot-nosed punks.
I mean, their dads.
These kids
should
are
kick the crap out of you
brats.
guys. I think we should sign a match with you against their
They're
dads.
probably listening right now, aren't they?
I think they are listening right now.
They might be.
And they should all be in bed. It's past bedtime.
enough.
We need to
Fair
get these
enough.
two on like some progesterone.
I think we should.
Make their voices drop. Your voices are too high pitched to be heels. You got to learn how to freaking talk from the diaphragm, man. Come on, talk. Say it. Lower your voice. Come on, you can do it. Trust me. You
All
stood
right.
up and sat down when you were asked to. All right,
You know what he's saying.
you talk like a girl.
All right. So again, let's recap this really quick before we go to our top of the hour break.
He's gonna stand up and he's gonna go like this.
All right,
just
so
pile drive me into the ground.
November 30th, 6 o'clock, Suquamish Tribal Center. Correct?
Yes.
That one is the next event. The big food drive one is December 14th. Both of these are Saturday nights. And that's going to be at the Suquamish Tribal Center as well. No cost on that one, but you got to bring a donation for the food banks, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and we're going to do our damnedest to get ourselves out there.
If we can make it happen, we'll be there. I think it would be a blast.
One of them, we'll work with Strip, who's our
only thing I
our
ask,
technical wizard.
Don't pick a fight with our tech guy. The one over there with the big scar on his head and he's balding.
He was attacked by an orangutan.
He jumped into the zoo exhibit.
No, I did not call you an orangutan, Trojo. Stop. All right.
Dude, you can't call the black guy a monkey.
He thought I called him an orangutan. He was mad at me in there. He was getting all mad at me in there for saying it.
You can't do that.
Right here.
I said it, and then Trojo got all up in arms back there because I thought it was called.
Our
I
lead
know what
tech.
we were talking about. Trojo got upset because he thought
Caleb
I was
with
calling
his
him
wife
names.
and his kid, and they were at the zoo. And one of the other kids with another parent who wasn't paying attention to their child, the kid climbed up and over into the orangutan
That's
exhibit.
crazy.
Right. And so Caleb
Nonsense.
jumped in to help the kid out when the orangutan came up from behind, and it was
hero
death
then.
by Unga Bunga. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
he's
Look at his face.
yeah.
Ripped his face right off.
Wow.
And he looks a lot better, actually.
He does look better
since
now.
the accident. So, all right, let's do this. Let's take a break. You guys, thanks for coming in. Let's schedule this when we have more time.
Let's get a song.
Oh,
on
do
for
we
us.
have? Do you have a song?
We
ready?
actually are perfect time to do that.
Sweet.
What do you give me that look for, Dez? Look at her. She's got the mom look.
I'll tell
you see her?
I'll tell you what that look from Dez is. She secretly pines for you.
I know. Well, we've known that since the first day on the show.
Look at the look of disgust. She's going overboard to play it off.
I know.
I think she's texting you right
Oh,
now.
by the
She
way,
might be. It's gonna pop up on the
by the
screen.
way, coming up next hour, if you have last week's word of the day,
It's a chance to win $20,000.
your chance to win up to $20,000 just by listening to this show. If you have last week's word of the day, have it ready. The phone lines will be open as we go into the last call.
Was the word of the day legs?
No, it
Because
was
you can
not
go home
legs.
and spread the word.
It was not.
You sure
Oh,
Well, I'm glad
That
you're
was
a
well
wrestler,
done.
not a stand-up comedian.
Well done, though.
All right.
I thought it was funny.
And then, do you have a song ready? Do you have? Okay. So, which track are we playing? Do we know?
Well, the track that I selected to play today was a track called Travis. I wrote it to my cousin, struggling with,
Was his name
pills
Travis?
and opiates and whatnot. But he's trying to do his thing. But I love him, and I thought I would put a little bit of a different approach to a song by doing something that was more, family oriented. You might, people might not feel that way, but
Okay.
inspired through love. You know what I mean? Versus your typical rap.
You got a website if people want to check out
Yeah,
more of
I
your music?
do. You just really have to Google Andy Mack, and it's with 2 C's. I got around 6 or 7, but I'm the first one that normally pops up on Google, and you'll find all the YouTube and Reverb Nation's Facebook and all that stuff. So all that good stuff. Andy Mack, ANDYMACC.
All right, check out Andy Max. We're going to play this. We'll go out of this top of the hour. Last call is next. If you got your word of the week, your word of the day,
chance to win $20,000.
Up to $20,000 just by listening to the
That's
show.
true. I thank you for correcting me on that.
say
That is
up
correct.
to. It depends.
Up
yeah.
to $20,000.
Up to $20,000. So this is Andy Mack. The song is called
Travis. And
Travis.
if I could get just 1 second.
Yeah.
Before that, hey, I also got 2 guys on my record label, Seasick the Grim and Mike Shannon, and they both have albums that are about to drop right now from Mac Made Music. Seasick the Grim's new album is Speak No Evil, and Mike Shannon's album is going to be called Memoirs of a Madman. So check those guys out.
Gotcha.
You can do the same thing you would do with
Hold
Finding
on.
Me.
It's your label? You're running your own
I own
studio?
a record label, Mac Made Music. It's in Paulsboro right now, but we're from Bremerton.
You're running your own studio?
I make all my instrumentals. I do all the graphics. I write all the songs. Seasick the Grim also is a graphic artist, and he's really talented, and he makes the best beats. He's fucking tearing it up with the beats right now.
You can't say fucking on the radio.
Do me a favor.
Mike Shannon is also very talented, so I want to give a shout out to my crew because I couldn't be doing a lot of things right now that I'm doing without him. So
Sure,
Okay,
excellent.
Before you leave, do me a favor. Make sure you give your phone number to Des. She handles all of our booking and stuff, and we'll try to get something worked out for you in the future. Get you and your guys in here for
that'd be excellent.
Get some of your stuff promoted.
Well, if you cut stuff for us, we'll use it as a bump music
You
and
bet.
stuff like that.
You
So-
bet. What do you know?
Awesome. All right, let's play this. This is song Travis.
Travis.
Andy Mack, Outlaw Radio Network. Thanks to Granite and Prime for coming in. Again, check out the events November 30th and December 14th at Suquamish Tribal Center. Come down and watch somebody get hit in the head with a steel chair.
And if
It's
these
good
guys
fun.
are married, listen, women, they can be taught. They proved it tonight.
All right, this is Andy Mack. This is Outlaw Radio Network. Last call is next.
Yeah.
I miss you, cousin. I miss you so much. I don't think for one fucking second you gon' die. Doctor, we're losing him. What? Then open up his eyes. His heart beats on the rise. Will he meet demise? I don't fucking think so, cause of his family ties. As he enters in your courtroom, shaking like a motherfucking leaf from withdrawals of the value. His mother is sitting there in that wooden chair in disbelief that he stole a car and crashed in a fucking tree. As the face links, she sinks deep in defeat, cause deep in his heart he knows he ain't half the man he can be. She touches her right, places her hand over her heart, then points at him. The judge just laughed at him, said that's contempt, madam, and don't let me ever see you do it again. Just for that you blew it 9 months up in a can. They shackle him up and lead him out the room. She leaves the building, smokes a cigarette or two, then drops to her knees, looks to the sky and screams, please, I don't want my baby to die. Give him back and I swear we'll live life. Just give me one more try and we can get it right. Meanwhile, he's having the motherfucking fight of his life. Here's my heart, you take it. Take care, don't break it. Family's the most important thing we have, forsake it. And we left with nothing. Take mine then, cousin. Rather walk around heartless and lose you to something. Here's my heart, you take it. Take care, don't break it. Family's the most important thing we have, forsake it. And we left with nothing. Take mine then, cousin. Rather walk around heartless and lose you to something. I'd rather walk around heartless than lose you to something. Take mine then, cousin. Then lose you to something. I'd rather walk around heartless than lose you to something. Take mine then, cousin. Then lose you to something. I think there's something special between us. Some mothers were both twins. Our fathers were alcoholics and we were destined as kids to never amount to shit. That was at least Satan's plan. But Satan is just a bitch that I'll never fuck with again. You hear me, you motherfucker? I hope that you're listening. I'm calling you out, punk. Release all of my kin, all of my kids, all of my fam, all of my friends. This song is dedicated to those who believe in second chances. Cause people can change and I know that it's true. That's why I thank God that he blessed me with you. I'm sorry I wasn't a better big cousin to you. In a lot of ways I'm ashamed, I feel as I failed you. But they'll do whatever they can to beat you down. In that time of my life I was nothing more than a clown. I got out of town just long enough to get on my feet. You got a case and left state to try to stay free. Here's my heart, you take it. Take care, don't break it. Family's the most important thing we have, forsake it. And we left with nothing. Take mine then, cousin. Rather walk around heartless and lose you to something. I'd rather walk around heartless than lose you to something. Take mine then, cousin. Then lose you to something. I'd rather walk around heartless than lose you to something. Take mine then, cousin. Then lose you to something. And that's it, I ain't writing another word to this track. The story isn't over. That's what's happening right now, cousin. I pray God watch over you. He protect you and keep you safe. And whatever it is you're doing out there, man, you gon' find yourself. And when you do, I want you to come home. Then I'll write the end of this song. Turn that shit off.
Get outlawed.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
Hey, sports fans, have you ever wished there was a live and local all-sports broadcasting network, but wish no more? It's ISPNSports.com. Kitsap's only live and local all-sports 24-hour broadcasting network, featuring the Kitsap Blue Jackets, the Olympic College Rangers, high school athletics, and the ISPN Sports Show every Saturday morning from 10 to noon with interviews from exclusive guests from around the Sound. So, you want sports? Go to ISPNSports.com.
How do I get a hold of you?
You just contact the mayor's office. He has a special signal that shines in the sky. It's in the shape of a giant cock.
All right, it's the last call.
If you're easily offended, fuck off.
Yeah. All right, so here's what I need.
That's right, Von Hess. You heard it first. Fuck off.
All right, so we need Trojo to get up on a microphone because we're going to do our NFL picks really quick. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Straw Kevin.
Paul, do me a favor. Without acknowledging it on the air, what I'm about to ask you to look at,
Okay.
will you please look at my screen right here? And